Um, Good afternoon, everyone. We are beginning a new process here at Glynn County, and the process is called the quarterly execution reviews. And so it's something that had some success with at the U.S. Marshal Service back probably 10, 11 years ago. And it was introduced by our director at the time. It's kind of a way to make sure that we're doing some of the things that we say we're going to do, particularly related to strategic planning. But when I saw the opportunity for us to really go through the SPLOST projects and be able to present the status of our projects and where we are to the public, but also to everyone here within Glynn County and our partners, I thought it fit pretty nice. And so just a little background on this. So what we plan on doing is having quarterly execution reviews every quarter. And so this is the first one, November 1st, and we're going to focus on SPLOST. The next one that we're going to have is going to be in 3 months or so, probably early February sometime. And we'll focus on our strategic plan. And at that point, it'll be a little bit different than this. However, some of the format will be the same, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then 3 months from that, we'll come back to SPLOST. And then 3 months from that, we'll go back to the strategic plan. So we will have these quarterly. Every other one will be on SPLOST. Every other one will be on our strategic planning and our execution there. I think that it's important, particularly on the strategic planning side. One of the reasons that this process was a success is because it actually focuses our efforts and it actually tracks the progress of the work that we're doing to execute our strategic plan. Oftentimes you see in government and even in private entities, you see strategic plans that are written and then they are just put on the shelf and they just essentially are there on coffee tables or collecting dust. We don't want that to be the case here at Glynn County. It wasn't the case with my experience with the U.S. Marshal Service, and it wasn't the case in my experience with FLETC. And so did this for probably about 7 or 8 years with the Marshal Service. About 5 years with the Marshal Service. Then when I transferred over to FLETC in 2016, I saw that FLETC was actually struggling when it came to executing a strategic plan. In fact, they didn't have a strategic plan when I first got there. So we put one together to cascade down from the administration's strategic plan at the time and developed our mission, vision, values, also strategic goals and objectives. And that's kind of what we're doing here at Glynn County as well. So 2016, 2017, we implemented this quarterly execution review process at FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers. And it was a little rocky at first. It took a little time to implement it the right way, but everyone that we did got better. And if anybody ever has the opportunity to go over to FLETC to witness a QER, they do it better than anybody. Best practice within the federal government, best practice within DHS, obviously. But it really, the leadership at the time at FLETC when I was there really took it to new levels. And so they made these presentations on all the great work that the men and women of FLETC were doing across the board, plus all their partners. And it really was kind of as I mentioned, a best practice, but we were able to showcase that to the administration within DHS, and they saw it. I believe some of the other agencies within DHS picked it up as well. And so what we will do today is focus on the SPLOST project. So Jason Hagan is our project manager over the SPLOST projects. I think in the past we have had maybe struggled a little bit with some transparency or with being able to kind of show the public where we were and our partners where we were with some of our past SPLOST projects. That's not going to be the case now. Jason actually has been working with the team, everybody else here, Tamara, John, with putting together a website for us to be able to show the public. So the public will be able to go into the Glynn County pages and pull up the SPLOST 2022 webpage and see essentially what we're going to be talking about today. And so it's all out there. We will go through the projects as I mentioned. As we start to do these, what you will see is that when it comes to SPLOST, the one thing that we want to keep in mind is that it's not a check that we get up front. So we have collections every month. And so we've been doing very well so far with collections. from the 1 cent sales tax that we have. And as we get that money, we project and we're able to start some additional projects. So we have completed some projects, which we'll talk about today. We got some other projects that we have already started. In some cases, we actually were able to kind of front the money with some of our existing capital project fund balance and essentially pay ourselves back with the SPLOST money as we get it, as we collect it. But we're off to a good start. And as we go through these projects, you'll see that there's a lot of work that's already started, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so we have several years. So some of the projects are going to have started in 2023. Some are going to start in 24, 25, 26, and so on until we get them accomplished. And so our goal is to make sure that we start every one of those projects within those first 6 years that we talked about for SPLOST. 6 years, right, Tamara? Yeah. And so hopefully complete the majority of them within the 6 years. But as you know, that's some of these projects are pretty extensive, and they're going to have a lot of engineering that's going to be involved. We have to work with vendors on bids and contracts, and so we're underway doing that now. We do have to bring on some project managers, like we talked about before during the summer of SPLOST 2022. When we were going around kind of educating the public on what SPLOST was and what the projects were going to be. We identified at the time, I think, about 8 different projects where we'd actually have to hire some project managers. And the project managers really are to help us get the bids out, help us maintain the cost of the project, right, to keep it in line with the cost, but also help us get that project to the end goal, to the goal line. And so we'll talk about those today, but again, keep in mind that we have several projects that are going to take some time, and we're going to accomplish those as we can. But we're going to continue this process until for the future. We want to continue with our strategic planning execution, plus we also want to continue with SPLOST projects. So that's kind of an overall synopsis of what the quarterly execution reviews are. And again, it's for us to get out there, tell our story, be able to identify the projects, tell the public and tell ourselves really what the status is on these projects. Another key part that Jason and some of our department heads, when they get up and they speak, they're going to identify some of those challenges that they have. And that's important for us to see. We need to see those challenges that we have, whether it be in the bid process or people not bidding, whether it be engineering, whether it be issues with GDOT or DNR or some of those other environmental agencies that we have to potentially overcome for some of these projects. And so that's an opportunity for us to help address those problems. So in some cases, it might be where we might need a little bit more money to go toward a project. We have our SPLOST projects that are identified, and the amount of money is actually identified there. We'll reach into other accounts, and we'll show a couple of those examples where we had to reach into our capital projects fund or other funds to be able to get that project completed. These SPLOST projects were developed back in the spring of 2022, or really the winter and then the spring of 2022. So things have changed. Prices have gone up. Supply has become a challenge for us. And companies don't necessarily have the workforce to be bidding on more projects than they currently have. So all of those types of challenges we've tried to overcome, and we've worked with our procurement team to really come up with innovative ways to get more companies to bid on these projects, so we actually have a better selection of bids that we can choose from, hopefully keeping the price down for the residents of Glynn County. So anybody have any questions on the QERs or the QER process, and what that might look like in the future? Okay, well, it's kind of like a Senate hearing, so Jason, not going to make you take an oath, but we'll have you start off and just kind of give us a rundown. Keep in mind that this is the first one, so we might have we'll tweak it a little bit. There's going to be some areas where we'll probably improve, and in fact, like we were able to do at Flexi, we improved every time. We made it that much better across the course of time. And so I think that's going to be the case here. So Jason, you want to?
Yes, sir.
Before I do, Tamara, is there any comments that you'd like to make on the process or anything?
I'm really proud of the website that Jason's worked so hard on to put together, and it's turned out well. I think it's going to be very beneficial to our citizens, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is all part of our strategic plan of, increased transparency, customer service, making things more user friendly and remote. So looking forward to seeing what you have.
Thank you. John?
I studied all night for the oath, so it took that away from me. I don't have anything to say.
Scott?
No, just thank you.
All right, Jason, take it away.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fallon. Thank you. So as Mr. Fallon said, this is our new software that we've been working with. This is called OpenGov, and this combined with our project management software are the two that we've been using to track our projects, make sure that everything's up to date, keep people in the loop, communicate not only internally but externally. Now, after today, this will be live. As before, we were very dependent upon spreadsheets and Word documents. Now we've got a system that is just, it will, as the users update, it will update here, and it's very seamless. So I hope you like it. We put a lot of work into it. So we're going to go today. We're going to go through each of our 22 listed SPLOST projects that were on the referendum. And as we do, the department head will come up and sit with me and talk through that with me. So the first thing that we'll talk about are the projects themselves. These are the projected start dates for the projects. Again, these are right from the referendum. And for those that have already started, we've got started. And for those that have a date in the future, we hope to hit that date. There are some occasions where we won't, but we've got a good reason for those that we don't.
Jason, if I could just interject here. So one of the things we want to keep in mind is that there's several buckets up here where we're going to have multiple projects within projects. And so particularly in the drainage projects, the sidewalk projects and the paving projects, for instance, they will all have those sub projects that we're going to work on with the SPLOST funding that we have. And then, like I mentioned earlier, augment that with some of the funding that we might have from some of the other sources that we can use to get these projects completed. So what you see here is essentially all the projects that were on the referendum. And so those are our SPLOST 22 projects. They're a blend of projects, obviously you can see mostly focused on infrastructure, but also on some public safety and some equipment that we need for the county. And they're also a blend of projects that are on the mainland across Glynn County and then on St. Simon's Island. We also have our partners, Jekyll Island. We have the Joint Water Sewer with the City of Brunswick, Economic Development Authority, and then also the Airport Authority that all have projects that they're working on as well. Thanks, Jason.
All right. And again, this is all information that if you go to our Glynn County website, you'll be able to navigate here. These are the SPLOST 2022 allocations for our Tier 1 projects. Put this out here so everyone knows what allocations are going to which project. And as Mr. Fallon said, there are some buckets here, whereas you may see a sidewalk mainland or a sidewalk island that will be broken up as we get the projects going into the actual sidewalk. And then we've got our trackers. And so right now we've got our 22 projects here, and we've got the majority are on track, but we do have 5 that have not started. And then we've got 1 that's achieved, and we're excited about that. And so this is the data behind that pie chart. As you see, we've got Old Jessup. We had some issues, but we'll talk through that with you. So we want to let you know what's going on there, and we want to be as transparent as possible.
Jason, if you could go back to the graph. So one of the things to also keep in mind is that as I mentioned before, there are going to be projects. We'll start them. We'll start them when we have the funding to do so. We do have a schedule, as Jason showed you, of when those projects are going to start. But we're going to have those projects where we say off track, all right? And so we have projects, and some are difficult. And so some are going to require us to work through those and find ways to make sure that we accomplish it. And so don't be alarmed by things that say off track. There's nothing wrong with them being off track at this point. We want to make sure that we do everything we can to put those on track and get those finished and completed in a timely fashion.
Yes, sir. All right, and so now we've got our project, SPLOST 2022 project list, and we'll start asking the department heads to come up. The first department head to come up will be David West, and he heads up our IT department. David, please. David's going to be talking about our fiber optic cable that we've just installed. Thank you, David.
Good afternoon. So I guess I'll start with a brief history. And you know, for some of the leaders here were not here when we actually started the design for SPLOST 22. So the map that is up on the screen right now is actually the mainland. And prior to planning and designing for SPLOST 22, the county mainly communicated with microwaves, leased copper, and leased fiber. And the mainland was completely covered. It was blanketed. It was fully connected. And we actually got the mainland to the point where we had no leased fiber lines for communications. We actually communicate the entire mainland on private fiber. And that was very, very difficult for St. Simons because there was no private fiber that you could get from the mainland to St. Simons without a multi-million-dollar investment. And so for SPLOST 2022, we actually put in $1 million in to get to St. Simons and then connect sites on St. Simons. And so when Mr. Fallon was talking about some projects are achieved, we have multiple phases in that project, but phase one is actually completed now, and that is getting from the mainland to St. Simons. And that was done with a partnership with Live Oak Fiber. We actually were able to get 4 strands of fiber from Live Oak Fiber in exchange for right-of-way access. So they had to put their equipment at certain locations. And Mr. Fallon called a meeting in, I think it was December of 2022. He brought them in. We talked with them, and it sounded very encouraging. And so Jason and I, along with the county attorney, we met with them on multiple occasions, and it went well. And by February, we actually had a contract in place, and that was approved. And then from the contract, we began work, and Live Oak actually turned the fiber over to us in August of this year. And so phase one is actually complete, and we're in negotiations with them as well to do phase two. And that will connect all of our St. Simons Island sites with private fiber. And with that, I'll take any of your questions.
All right, David, good review. And so just curious, so what would that have cost us just to put those lines across to?
Several
St.
million,
Simons?
several, yeah, because inflation is definitely going, and the supply chain everything's changed in the last couple of years. So we originally thought $1 million. Well, I would double, maybe even triple that now to try to do this project.
All right, so Live Oak Fiber helped us with that.
Oh, immensely, yeah, we couldn't have done it.
Can you just talk about what the next phases are?
The next phase is
general.
So throughout our working budget years, we continue to put private fiber wherever we can, budget depending. We put stuff in capital, and if we get it approved, we implement the project. So we already have some private fiber on St. Simons, for instance, from the casino to Mallory, or within the Fire Station 2's campus. We have private fiber that connects all of those buildings. But what we struggled to do is to run from, say, Fire Station 2 to the north end to Fire Station 4 and to Fire Station 7. That's where the huge capital investment comes in. And so what we're looking to do is to connect the north end and get to, from Fire Station 2, get to the casino and the beaches. If we do that, we've connected pretty much all of our sites. The only one we wouldn't pick up in that project would be Gascoigne Bluff. but with such a small area, that could be done with wireless or even a small lease circuit. It's not a lot of comms that you need to do Gascoigne Bluff. But if we do the north end, the beaches and casino, we've connected 95% of St. Simons.
All right, great. Commissioners, do you have any questions on this project?
Just want to make sure I'm clear, to run the fiber to St. Simon. You're saying that we saved, somewhat between $2 million
Yes, sir.
plus.
Yes, sir. If you go back to, there was a picture of a fiber. You had it in blue. I think it might have been in the very beginning.
Oh, I actually removed that.
Oh, you did? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it would show you an example of what the fiber actually looks like, but you have to bore under the river. And the cost to do that is very, very expensive. The reason we were able to do this so quickly is Live Oak purchased from Alma Telephone the existing fiber backbone from the mainland to St. Simons. That infrastructure was there, and they purchased those assets. That's how we were able to do this so quickly. Now, on St. Simons, unless we do a partnership with Live Oak again, if we have to do it ourselves with capital or using these SPLOST funds, it will take some time because you have to actually direct bury or use aerial fiber. So that won't be as quick. It could be several years to do this project, phase 2.
If we don't partner, or even if we do partner.
If we partner, we could do it in months, just like we did the phase 1.
And what would be the cost savings?
Several million again, I would say. Yeah, I got some initial quotes, and like I said, in the last couple of years, the cost of everything is just doubling and tripling. I got some quotes, and it's upwards of $1 million for, just going from St. Simons Fire Station 2 to the beaches and the casino.
So, Tamara, if we save this money here, it's money we could invest somewhere else, correct?
Well, we only have $1 million in SLOSS 22 for this project. So we're going to spend probably 500,000 of that at a minimum just to do the connections and get the equipment to our different locations. So what he's talking about, which was phase 1, was getting the fiber from the mainland under the ground to the island. But the next step is we have to be able to connect that fiber from their junction box to our buildings and put the infrastructure in our buildings to be able to use it. So that's still going to cost some. So if there were money left out of the $1 million after we finish connecting the other sites and the equipment, then yes, that money could be used for another SLOSS project that's in the list.
All right, so appreciate Live Oak Fiber and their partnership on this one. Okay,
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Jason, if you could leave this up, I just want to explain. So what you will see today is the SPLOST page that we're going to have, the SPLOST presentations, or the pages that are actually going to be posted online, correct?
That's correct.
So Jason, if you would come down, we'll go through this quick. So we're going to have a project summary on each one of these pages. Scroll down. Any photos that we have that actually help explain the scope, and then keep going. And then the project budget, which was the amount that was identified as lost on the referendum. And then really where we get to is the status boxes, as you'll see from some of these other projects, where we start to tell the story about the work that's been done. And we start to see the status of where we are on all of these projects. So, and then just overall, we have maps and other things that we can show as well.
Yes, sir.
All the projects.
And so the status is the link that I was talking about from our project management software that just feeds into our presentation.
Okay. So we got phase 1 essentially completed. Now we're on track with the rest of the scope of this project. Okay. All right. So good.
All right, so for our next presenter, we've got community development, Mr. Toby Harris and Nisa Carroll, and they're going to talk about our software purchases.
Good afternoon. So, Tamara, while they're setting up, do you want to kind of introduce this? And then, I'm sorry, Toby, we'll have you go do some introductions. But I know Tamara worked quite a bit on helping us get this established.
Yes, so our SLOSS 22 project was to replace the software in community development. So that covers, our building inspections, our code enforcement, business license, and then previously occupation tax and alcohol license was in community development as well. We started looking for a software to do this, to be able to provide increased access to the public, to be able to apply for their business license, apply for their building permits, work through the planning and zoning process without having to come down here to the Pate building 80 times to get through that process. So we wanted to be able to have more options for online access, and also for transparency for the public, so they could see what's going on. And so we put this on the SLOSS list, and started looking and reviewing different softwares, and we found a software called OpenGov that turned out to be a really great find for us. It's actually the software where we have built this website for the SLOSS presentation that we're using to show you today. That is all done through OpenGov. So it turned out to be a lot more useful than just being able to use on community development. So we took some additional funds that we had from the ARPA funding that we got from the federal treasury, and we put that with the SLOSS funding to be able to expand the purchase of OpenGov to cover multiple departments. So we've recently installed a new bid and procurement website through OpenGov. All of our bids are done online now. It's increased our bid submissions tremendously. We can track reviews, and we can see how many people have looked at our bids now, and so it's really helped us with that. So those other departments that we were able to use that put OpenGov into place for, we used ARPA funding for that, but the SLOSS money was specifically used for the community development side. So I just wanted to make it clear that we didn't use SLOSS funding for other departments. However, it was a great find for the county. We're able to use it across multiple departments, and I believe the public is going to find it very useful once everything is up and running. We've taken a few items live, so our golf cart registrations are live now. You can completely do that online. Alcohol licenses are completely online now, other than any type of form that needs to be notarized. And by, I believe, 1st of December, occupation tax will be 100% online. So lots of great things coming, and I think that the public's going to like it. But just want to give you a little background on the other pieces that were done outside of SLOSS.
Yeah, the good part about this is also with our strategic plan, those of you that have seen that the one of the commissioners' goals really was to make doing business with Glynn County easier and more streamlined, and more use technology to make it more efficient. And so this I think is a good first step for us to accomplish the goal that the commissioners had. So, all right, sorry, Toby, go ahead and
No
introduce
problem.
yourself.
Thank you. Tamara really covered everything. We have before you a presentation for the OpenGov software programs, and I would like for Ms. Nisi Carroll to present that to you today.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Nisi Carroll, Programs Analyst for Community Development. I will be discussing OpenGov, which is a software that we'll be using for intake and permitting process. Oh, sorry. Currently, we are using M4, like I said, for the intake and permitting processes for planning and zoning, building inspection, code enforcement, and engineering. The application types that we use include, but are not limited to, site plans, conditional use permits, residential, commercial buildings, service requests. Here is just a snippet of M4. And this is what staff sees when they log into the software. And it shows pending tasks, project to-do list, and requested inspections. One of the challenges with M4 is that the public does not have access to view these projects. So why are we changing? As you can see, M4 is outdated. The county began using this program software in 2007. And with the intake, to streamline the intake and permitting processes, we use various multiple programs. Equally important, like Tamara said, we just want to have that transparency with the public. All right, and now we will navigate to the open projects list. Go back. Click on hyperlink. And this hyperlink is also located on the county's website, but this is what the public has to view now. So they can see the applications that we have, but they cannot view supplemental information. So it's just brief, the application number and maybe the site of where it's located in the project lead. Yeah, to the presentation. So this month, we will begin to use OpenGov for our intake and permitting processes. And OpenGov will give the development community and the public more access, increase transparency, improve efficiency, and the citizen experience. And from my understanding, it would also create a streamlined permitting history. So for instance, if you were to search the location, you should be able to see like site plan approvals, preliminary plans, and maybe the CBUI as well. Go to the next slide. Here's a snapshot of what the public may see. And this is an interactive part. So we'll just go through it. Go to records type. Records. Click records. And then SP.
So Nisi, this is what the public will be able to.
This is,
Same
yes,
thing.
correct.
Okay.
SP-23-4. And we can
Hit that site button.
Yep. So if the public were to search for this particular site plan, this is what they'll see. Project information, the surveyor information, so like the agent information, owner information, and a brief synopsis of the project. So we can go back up. And if they were to create a portal account, if you click the Files tab next to the details, if they go scroll, if you can scroll. So if they were to create an account, then they will be able to access plats, what else, site plans, so other pertinent information.
And so what's it take to actually get a account?
Email address,
All right, so
password.
there's no fee, it's just
No.
public can sign up to create an account?
Correct.
Okay, correct.
All right. Presentation. Next slide. So in an effort to assist the public, staff has also created hyperlinks of how helpful links to guide the public on how to create a profile and steps to pay for your fees and how you can receive your permit. And you see the clicking? If you could click there. Right on the other side of information.
Can you talk about how this helps you all in community development for staff time by having this all online?
So currently we receive a surplus of open records requests. Citizens will ask for more information. Say for instance, if an abandonment is posted, they'll want to know, well, who's requesting the abandonment? Why are they requesting it? So if this information is already online, that will reduce staff time.
So you all won't have to deal with that per se.
We'll still have open records requests, but that will alleviate some time.
You just point them to the website.
Yeah.
Right.
You go to my section. And this concludes my portion.
All right, great. Thank you. Nice job, Nisi.
Thank you.
Jason, if you could go back to the project page,
Sure thing.
let's take a look at that, and see what that looks like. All right, so you want to talk a little bit, Tamara, maybe you can talk a little bit toward, all right, so the total project in SPOS was $665,000. And so to date, or Toby, or anybody that wants to kind of talk about what we've spent of that 665 so far.
Yeah, so the 431, 242 is what we've spent on the community development portion of the software. So we are getting very close to going live with this. Do you guys have a date yet?
6th of November.
November 6th. So, we're almost to the finish line on this implementation, so we're getting very close. There are some follow-up pieces to make it a bit more efficient that we're going to add on later, which will use most of the rest of that funding. But this is the big chunk of it.
If I can just add, this is really gonna make everything an efficient process. One of the biggest challenges we've had is everyone saying it's so difficult to get something accomplished. This is really streamlined from the standpoint of the staff and to the customer base. And it should really allow us to be more efficient in our timeline of getting applications finalized.
Okay, and so those links that you guys have developed, kind of tutorials for people to go online and actually help, okay. Is there an opportunity for them, obviously they can call the office if they have some other challenges with?
There is, last Friday we had a beta testing, if you will, with some developers that went really well. We do have being built that will be on the website, a tutorial video. They all obviously can just contact the office if they need a walkthrough. As with any new software program, there is a cycle of a learning aspect to it. But so far, the feedback has been this is a tremendous change and is way more efficient than what we've been using.
All right, Jason, would you go back and just open up the project again, please?
Sure can.
So if we scroll down, is there anything left there on the?
No, sir.
Okay, and so the balance that we have, so that 234,000, what's that going to be used for?
There's going to be a work order piece to this that's going to be added called Cartograph. So we're just starting that. I think we've made our first payment, which is in this 431, but the balance of that should be used to finish that out.
Okay, and what functionality is that going to?
So this is going to allow people that are out and around to, and they see an issue or a problem that they want to report to code enforcement. They can take a picture of it on their phone. It's going to GIS point where they're at, and create a work order that will go through this app into our system and be routed through our customer service department to whatever department it needs to go to, either community development, code enforcement, public works, wherever. And so we hope that this will help decrease some of the, calls directly to commissioners for complaints.
What I was going to say.
If a ditch needs to be cleaned, or if something, needs to be taken care of, or there's a illegal sign posted, we can get that right over to code enforcement. It's instantaneous, and we can also use that to track progress. So one of the things that we're working really hard on is, staff accountability and making sure that we're doing good jobs and doing efficient jobs, and that we're, using staff time appropriately and citizen taxpayer dollars appropriately. And so this is going to allow us to, track work orders from beginning to end once that's entered. And if a citizen still calls our customer service, we'll enter it ourselves through this system. And we'll be able to track how long it took, how many hours it took to get a response, any issues if they call back, or if they want to look at their request, they'll be able to go on and see what's the status of getting this fixed. So it just goes more to this, idea of improved citizen access, improved customer service, improved efficiency, additional accountability. So, we're real excited about all of these software programs, and I think they're going to add a tremendous amount of help for management to manage tasks and work orders and things like that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because one of the things that we wanted to do was, as we set those standards and put those performance standards in place for all of our departments, this will actually help us. And so commissioners, as you do, you get plenty of these texts from people that take pictures. If we can steer them toward this, or we'll take it and we'll enter it. It actually help us track that workload. It'll actually help us schedule it and make sure that we stay on course to get it completed. So I'm looking forward to that part. Thank you.
If I could ask, and this may be a question for IT, how's this backed up, since it's gonna have all the information? And I know we're already continuously working on our cybersecurity, but going totally, I guess, online, paperless with this stuff.
So I'll answer that. So these software systems that we're going to are all web-based systems. So they are backed up through the software vendors. They have their own infrastructure in place and they have backups for their information. They often, probably always, have more resources to do extensive cybersecurity, have multiple backups than we may. So we have found, for example, that our Munis system, which is our financial system, is now completely cloud-based. So all of these systems that we're going to are cloud-based. There's not going to be information on our local servers here. So it's actually a huge increase in protection for our data.
Okay, thanks, Tamara. All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, next up, from our EMA department, Mr. Andy Lienza, our EMA director. Andy.
One of the things I failed to mention, and a benefit to this QER process, is like what we just saw. So we have Toby, who is our department head, but he was able to bring Nisi with him, and it gives Nisi a developmental opportunity to come in and brief and talk and get some FaceTime with the commissioners and others, and talk about some of the projects that they've been working on. So she did a really nice job.
So Andy's going to speak to our SPLOSH project, the Public Safety Multi-Use Facility. Mr. Andy.
All right, so here to speak about this facility here. We're super excited. Our plans entail the co-location of the EOC, which is the Emergency Operations Center, with 911 and IT servers and group meeting space, all within the same facility. So we're going to maximize the use of it. Additionally, the facility is being designed to be resilient, capable of withstanding a Category 3 hurricane, and strategically positioned outside of any potential flood zone that we may have due to a hurricane. The purpose of the EOC in this building, which is the Emergency Operations Center, is to serve as a centralized hub for public safety, emergency response personnel, and support agencies to collaborate on planning, preparedness, and response efforts. In contrast to our current EOC, which is situated in the police department training room, there's a vertical layout, and we're going to move to a NIMS aligned layout to enhance the collaboration efforts in accordance to FEMA standards. So far, our emergency management staff, we've conducted multiple visits and reviewed lots of plans for other operations centers across the state and in Florida. We've identified shared requirements and identified best practices so far in preparation for this facility. So next for us, we've already put out the RFP for program management services. And after that, we're going to work with a architectural design firm to get this thing designed. We're going to include key components such as the check-in desk, a spacious operation room with multiple displays, team breakout rooms, sleeping quarters, and a kitchen. The comprehensive design will significantly enhance our capability to manage these emergencies effectively, 24-hour operations.
And in this site, you'll see we've got the budget for the project, but because we haven't spent any money yet, there's not a section of money spent. But as we spend money for any project, there'll be a tracker on the page that'll show you how much has gone into it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of research in this one. There's a lot of FEMA design documents that we're reviewing, and we're making sure we're getting the right people involved with this because we're going to maximize this. This is a long-term facility that we're going to be using for multiple type of events. So, you have any questions?
Yeah, Andy, so I know that we have what we use now, is that a EOC?
To be frank?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a training room. It's set up auditorium style like you'd see if you're in college. And it may have worked at one time, but it really lacks the operational breakout rooms. I know the police department has grown, over the years since they've also designed that. So that some of the spaces that they all previously used in Glynn County are just not available. There used to be a workout facility that people used to be able to sleep in, and now that's all offices just by the needs for the police department. So this will take out potentially 911 from the police facility, give them more room to expand, which is a phenomenal thing. And I know as they're going through the next phase of 911, this will give them every opportunity to install the right type of antennas and conduit that they're going to need to make sure they can communicate for enhanced operations.
Okay, good. Plus, we'll have some, so it's a higher elevation. It's, is there hurricane rated?
Yeah, we're going to look at it at least a 3 on this one.
Okay.
Because if it's past a 3, it might not be safe to be here. So.
Yeah. I think the other key part of this is IT. And so having the capabilities where we actually have IT in a safe and secure building where have less potential to go down during a storm, and obviously keep us operational throughout the storm.
Yeah, there won't be any moving of any of those components because they'll all be there. So that's a good point.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for Andy?
Just so we're clear, we're talking about building a separate facility to house the emergency management and the 911 center
Yes, sir.
And IT.
and IT.
Yeah.
So IT won't be down here anymore in this building?
We will still have some staff here, but our server data center will be there in that building.
Okay. And then the police department will have full access to the current building?
Yes, and one reason that I really believe that we're looking at having it as separate is because we got to think down the line for the police department. Once they expand eventually one day, you could have a larger building that they're going to need. So we don't want to impede on that footprint. So having it done this way will put us in the location we'll need to probably for the next 20 years.
Can you, do you have a map, a little star or something showing us where the building would be located? In conjunction with the current building?
We've made some mock-ups. So if you can, I don't know if I can point out how we can you can mouse over it maybe.
Where?
Yeah, we're looking at,
Where's the public safety building?
there's the public safety building right here. And if they were to need to expand, I imagine they'd have all this place here and they have all this fencing that they could do. Could potentially put the EOC right in this place back here. We got to think if we have to drive a semi back there and do a load of equipment, or we got to have some bays. We got to have room for the mobile command and the boats and everything. So that'll get the PD more room this way. And then we still have all this space here too. I'm not saying that. Yeah, animal control is down here, so we're going to be on that side of. I guess that would be the parking lot that we looked at. Yeah, so we'll have a lot of room. We'll be able to snug back here, and you're centered right where you need to be. That's our initial place that we're looking at.
Is that an old picture? So it doesn't.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. So
That's
this
not
is,
the animal control building?
Yeah, we need to update that on the page, Jason, if we can.
So I have some preliminary things where I've kind of cut and pasted some possible locations.
So we haven't finalized where exactly?
No, haven't done that.
We haven't, we're really in very preliminary review and research. We haven't even started official design yet.
Yeah, we'll kind of walk in and measuring stuff out there with a little wheel and figuring out what would work. So, all righty.
Hey, David, if you could, there was a question that came up about two questions for you, actually. So the first one was going back to, and Andy, you can stay here for a second.
Yeah.
Going back to the OpenGov, as far as security goes, and what you can tell us, obviously, some of it's sensitive, but the backups, so backup capabilities for OpenGov for us.
So it's cloud-based, so, that backup data will be on the cloud.
Okay. And then as far as what IT is going to look like in the multi-use facility versus what you're still going to have back here for capabilities.
So we'll reduce our footprint here. And I can get into how much power load, but I don't want to get into all that. But there was talk about moving part of the staff out to the new EOC or mini EOC, whatever we want to call the building. But there is a full 900 square foot data center as part of this project, and we'll plan to pretty much migrate our core and have a fully redundant core between here and downtown. I mean, between downtown and exit 38. So it's our data center here is 600 square feet. The plan is for a 900 square foot data center out there.
Okay.
And move everything to high ground as we can, and then backfill the downtown campus because there's much more of a threat here for flooding.
All right. Well, you should leave some people here to help us.
Yes. Well, the courts are not going to let us take everybody. I can assure you that. Yeah, Judge Scarlett's not going to go for that.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Anything else for Andy on this project? All right. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andy. All right, next up, from our engineering department, our director of engineering, Jason Hartman, and our engineer, Eric Granados. Gentlemen.
How many staff are in that department? Just the two of them?
Yes, sir.
What? 15 or 15 positions.
The survey team, they brought in Stacy Colbert from the community development, the plan review engineer. His team comes in, Chuck Flowers there, the erosion sediment control inspectors and the road construction inspectors. So it's pretty good team.
Okay, that's a good point. So Jason, new department for us, engineering as a whole. Is there anything you want to talk about first, just on your department? I don't know if you heard John mentioning kind of the makeup of the department, but anything else you want to add to that?
Okay, were everybody able to hear that about the?
Probably not.
Okay.
So
Earlier this year, right at the start of the fiscal year, I guess a month into it, August, we kind of merged our engineering into one engineering department that was made up from public works and community development, and we have myself as the engineering director. We have a more of a planning development group led up by Stacy Colbert, and then we have Eric here, who is our head project manager and design engineer, as another group, and then the last group is more focused on the construction side from public works, with an engineering division manager for field engineering that we're currently looking to hire to replace my old position, and under that are multiple construction inspectors and survey team, engineering technicians that does CAD work. So we have a very strong team. We've been taking on a lot of these SPLOST projects, and we're excited to go over them here today. But that's kind of what we've been working on since the new fiscal year here.
all right, thank you.
All right. And so you'll notice that the way that we've broken this down and the way the website works is you'll see in progress. Those are the projects that we're currently doing. We've got then our future projects, and then anything that we've achieved will be in this column here. So, all right, so we'll start off with Canal at Glencoe Parkway improvements.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Dallas, project manager for engineering services. So this intersection is the Glencoe Parkway Canal Road intersection. So currently, intersection has a real bad skew on it. It's a dangerous intersection with site distance issues and some deficiencies. So what we're doing is improving the intersection to provide a 2-lane roundabout at this location and kind of redo the approaches so that the geometry works better and the site distances work out a lot better. It's a safer road, safer intersection. So currently the project is at the end of the design phase with the 90% plans completed and submitted. So the county is reviewing those right now, and we should be able to finalize those soon and advertise for bid for construction. Probably in January, beginning of next year. So there's a few things that still need to be completed, which land acquisition is one of them, but we feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get all that done by the end of the year so that we can advertise for construction and move it to the construction phase here early next year.
All right, so design, 90% complete, which is good. And then we have to look at so some of the next steps that are up there. We'll anticipate here coming up. This one, I know that we had discussed this with GDOT as well, and I know GDOT had an interest in this, particularly with the angles of the roads. So I know that they were interested in assisting us. Have you guys talked to GDOT about this one?
Yes, Jason Hagan and myself met earlier, and one of the commissioners that's here today, we met with GDOT earlier a couple months ago when they were coming down with their commissioner of GDOT about potential projects that they would be interested in, and they basically just said keep us them in the loop on when this one goes out to bid and how the design's progressing, and that's what we're planning to do. So we're just keeping GDOT in the loop on this one. They seem to be interested in this particular project. This will be our first roundabout on the mainland. We have multiple roundabouts on the island, and this would be an improvement here at this intersection.
And this will tie to future adjacent projects for the widening of Canal Road and future expansions of Glynn Cove and someday Heritage Rivers. So it's really a vital part of the whole network, as well as connection for the sidewalks for pedestrians that use the Heritage Rivers multi-use path right now. It just kind of ends at that intersection, so this will help connect all of that together.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, this will be safety-wise. I know that the commissioner for GDOT even looked at this and saw those angles of some of those streets and was surprised to see that they were there.
Yep.
So I know, based on my experience coming out the back gate at Fletsy, I know that is a kind of a choke point for traffic. So I know at certain times of the day, so I think that will certainly be a welcomed improvement to that intersection.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of coordination as well with the airports on this project since it's so close.
Exactly. Good.
So this is a roundabout right there coming off of Canal.
Right, Mr. Hagan's got the pointer. That would be the location of the roundabout circle at the Harry Triggers Canal and Glencoe Parkway intersection.
I guess where's the Heritage Rivers?
It's that
It
right
runs
there.
up under the little
It's
sign
going
there.
underneath the legend there, the Glencoe Parkway improvements block right there.
Okay.
It says Harry right there, but it goes straight up.
As you keep going up to the airport.
It changes from Canal to here.
So there won't be a traffic light there.
Correct. It'll be just around about that intersection.
All right.
As you said, it's a choke point.
Yeah.
And the angles of that.
Yeah, if you look at the accident data there, it's definitely in need of a safety improvement there. So roundabouts eliminate a lot of those conflicts for the drivers.
Okay.
Next project we're going to look at is the Old Jessup Road Improvements Project.
Yeah, so this one, we actually took a look at the whole corridor for Old Jessup when we were developing the scope on this. So for this SPLOST project, we're going to be focusing on the section from Scranton Road to Walker Road. And in that section, we're going to be proposing sidewalk, curb and gutter, and some widening. So yeah, that map kind of shows that red section there is that section from Scranton to Walker. So when we started scoping this project, we kind of looked at the whole corridor and kind of broke it up by segments to see which areas kind of have the most need. So based on analysis and the available budget, we are focusing on segment 5 from Scranton to Walker with the SPLOST money, and that's to do the curb and gutter sidewalk and road widening. And so in addition to that, there's, kind of a whole corridor wide, plan for the future to improve all the corridor, since it's such a vital corridor for this area and there's so many deficiencies through it. But we kind of have to take it one bite at a time for this road. So the orange you see there is a candidate for our local maintenance and improvement grant, which is our LMIG for short. And that's really a resurfacing contract that Jason will talk about a little bit coming up. But we're planning to do some resurfacing and widening through that grant.
Okay, so Commissioner, you can all talk to this. This is probably the worst road in the county.
Basically, you can go back to the other picture. Right there. What we're proposing, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna try to add about a foot of pavement on the edges. So the road will be wide to a certain point. I mean, you're not gonna get much because there's ditching on both sides. And there's also water line running down, correct?
Yeah, so from the section from Scranton to Walker.
But in those other 3 sections, we're going to repair this part of it.
Right, yeah, so.
Yeah, the highlighted point that Eric was showing, or that Jason scrolled down with the LMIG, we'll touch on the LMIG later in this presentation and how GDOT helps us with that. But the plan would be to do a 2-foot expansion, if possible, on each side, and then resurface over top of the expansion to improve those segments. So that's what we're trying to achieve outside of the segment that Mr. Granados just went over. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the Old Jessup Road improvements isn't limited to just what we have in SPLOST. We're going to use other resources to be able to try and correct some of those problems that we have on that street.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we currently are getting the design contract on board to execute it this month. So that project, the design, will be kicking off here shortly, and we should be able to, sometime around mid next year, get to construction.
Good. All right. Any questions on this part of SPLOST projects? All right. What's next? These guys are going to be here for a little while.
We do have a break at 2:30, so. All right, so this next project is the St. Simons Island Gateway and Torres Causeway improvements. We have been working with Kimley Horn for a little over a year now with studies on how to tackle this. We've looked at a few different options. One option being a flyover, one option being 3 roundabouts or 2 roundabouts, and then 1 very large roundabout. We think we're to a point now that we can present to the commission. Actually, we're presenting next week on the 7th at their works special called meeting, and we will present the options on how we think we should move forward. And once we get a decision, we'll be able to either go out to bid for a design firm or keep Kimley Horn. That'll be a decision that they have to make, and then which option of the many that we have should we go for.
Yeah, we've narrowed it down to about 4 options. There's we've had internal meetings. There's one favorable option that we would like to present from the engineering standpoint to help move forward to select a designer for this. So that's basically the update on this important study that's been going on for, as Jason said, for quite a while under Kimley Horn.
Hey, can I break? Quincy, are you back there? So I just, with the fan on, can you do a sound check? Are we okay for sound broadcasting wise? Or do we have to speak up a little bit? Okay, yeah, maybe speak up just a little bit if you could.
All right.
All right. All right, so this is another one. So I think we went, if you could, Jason, go back to that project. So back-to-back projects and some, two of the worst traffic problems that we have in the county. There's many others, which we're going to address as well. But this one, I see every morning. I think we still see cars that are backed up over the McKay River Bridge, sometimes down, almost halfway down the causeway, in the mornings trying to get onto the island. And so this one's important for us. I know that we want to get going on this. And so we're getting there as far as the design goes, right? So we're close. So Kimberly Horn's going to present on November 7th,
No, sir, we're not going to bring them in. It'll just be a staff-led presentation.
on November 7th.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They do have people available that could be here if we ask them to.
So who's going to present on that? One of you?
That'll be our engineering department. We feel very confident on the concept that we're going with. We've met with commissioners months ago and up to this point, and we'd like to present our best option and how we would like to select a designer for this very important project.
Yes. Okay. All right. Anything else on this, commissioners? All right. Thank you.
All right, the next project that we have is McKinsey Drive improvements.
This is Mackenzie Drive. So this is a project to connect Mackenzie Drive to the Prater Lane. So this is up by Jane Macon Middle School and Sterling Elementary. So right now with the schools being there, it's just one way in, one way out. So this road will help provide two accesses really to the school. So on this one, we're working with GDOT since they own a maintenance facility through this area, and coordinating with them to acquire that land, and then also they've requested some improvements at 341 to add a right turn lane into the new road. So this is currently under design. We've got survey complete. The environmental survey is being completed this week, and we're moving this one forward in the design to lock down the footprint so we could then look at land acquisition needs, reach out to property owners, and coordinate all the environmental clearances. So this one is moving along in the design phase right now to lock all that down.
Can you go back? I mean, I know where it is, but I'm trying to visualize what we plan to do here. Where is the school?
There's actually two schools inside of McKenzie and DePrater, and McKenzie and DePrater do not connect presently, so you kind of get to a dead end. And what we're trying to do with this project is to connect those two roads to make a continuous loop. You can see the area in red that's, Jason, kind of zoom in on that top drawing. We're creating this curve that connects the two roadways from 341 at DePrater at the top there, and then if you scroll down, it doesn't show on the page, but McKenzie connects to 341. The curvature there at that, go back up, Jason. Yeah, the curvature there at that piece would be, we're coming up with a new alignment, trying to stay within a good footprint. There's a park out there and a church, and there's also some, the school property, and just trying to make sure that our alignment, stays out of environmental areas as much as possible. And that's what we're working with our engineer, with a consultant right now on how to get this an successful alignment and also meet the need of the project. Like I said, we've been coordinating with GDOT on a potential right turn lane into DePrater from the north there. If you're looking, if you kind of hover over that little, where that north arrow is up top in the top right corner, yep. There will be a right turn lane turning into DePrater based on what GDOT has been meeting with us on, and we'll coordinate with them. But like Eric said, there's a GDOT maintenance property there, so we'll need to coordinate with them on how to make this a successful project to connect all this. But that would connect everything as one continuous road rather than having two dead ends right there.
It's WD's property, WD Daniels.
Yeah, and there were some issues around that from a previous community development person. I mean, Mr. Daniels has passed away, but it was really like the county didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Okay, so we go to the other map. So a couple of things that we see in here. So as you turn, right there, that's good. As you turn off of 341 to go to J. Macon, what's the elementary school that's there?
Sterling.
Oh, Sterling. Sterling. You have that traffic that comes into the school. It's one way in, one way out. And you also have that development, which is fairly large size that's back there. Now we have another development that's going in around the area where the curve is that connects, that will soon connect Mackenzie and DePrater. And so right now, once we open that up, that'll actually give those folks another way to come in, another way to go out. This was another project that GDOT was interested in, primarily because of the school traffic and the busing, and then the parent backup when they drop off and pick up kids. So we're working with them to potentially offer some solutions to the Board of Education on what they could do with their flow of traffic as well.
Yeah, there's actually two developments of McKenzie and DePrater. We've been working with our community development folks on coordinating those developments with this project as well. Any other questions on this particular project?
So this first intersection down here, Mackenzie and,
Right here, sir.
yeah, right there. Okay, now where's the other entrance coming in?
Be in this area.
Yeah, so the Pryor Lane comes off of 341 right around where he's pointed.
Right underneath.
Jason, zoom in a little on this map. It shows it better. So zoom in on this one a little bit. And just pull it down a little bit.
So again, it's underneath the
Yeah,
Mackenzie
it's being
Drive
covered
label.
up by the
But
label, the rectangular label, but DePrater is, it kind of just dies off right there. You can see where it needs to be connected in a curvature in order to connect to McKenzie.
so that's existing road there.
Yes.
Is that a dirt road or is it
It's
paved to a port?
It's paved to a point, I think, to the curve.
And so GDOT does have some storage, and they have their facility out there, but we've worked with them to be able to move. They have to move a storage set for us to be able to go all the way through, and they've agreed to do that.
So right now, the Sterling Park is right off the Pryor Lane. So.
Does that other map show it better? Or the top?
Yeah,
So
I guess I'm trying to, if the public will be able to come to this information, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
On the website.
This
So
is
I'm
what-
trying to make sure.
Yeah, we'll get a better picture on the aerial didn't come through for some reason on this. There's supposed to be an aerial imagery background to that. That would make it a lot clearer. So I think that was in the file. It just didn't load in this website. So we'll just make sure that's
Yeah,
correct.
If we could, so that folks could just clear this.
And so as you see where the turn is, where the U at the top, that's BOE property, but we work with them to be able to use that property to be able to continue that street around the corner.
We had to put in the sides. Did we put some sidewalks out there?
Yes, right up 341. That was a previous
That they
project.
don't put in sidewalks. Board of Education.
I'm sorry, sir, say that one more time.
Board of Education doesn't put in sidewalks.
I think so. That was a project
I
along
expect the
341.
kids to get there. If they walk, just bring a machete. Cut through. Yeah.
Nature trail.
Okay, anything else on this one, Commissioner? Good, all right. And so, Jason, if you could go down, I just wanted to look at the timeline again, because this one has taken a little bit longer than I think we had anticipated originally. So anything you want to talk to, so maybe some of the reasons why it actually hasn't moved quite as quickly as we wanted it to?
Well, yes, I think we've recently transitioned, like I said at the very beginning of this presentation, we transitioned to different leadership at the county from community development to currently me as the director. But also, I know this was wanted to be a fast track project. We had some delay because of our survey team member that was selected for this. There was a potential conflict of interest. But once he got on board, they were able to process the survey quickly. In the meantime, he was still kind of working on the project and progressing it. Has a lot of surveys in the area. We've been meeting with GDOT, trying to get them back on board. It was just some time off between the transition between the department. But Eric's done a good job getting GDOT back on board. We brought this project up again when Jason and I met with GDOT a couple of months ago. And so and I think Eric said we got something from our environmental consultant. I think I saw it come through my email this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to read them all on all of them, but I think Eric was saying we're progressing from our environmental side. So things are starting to fall into piece. If you look at the construction timeline, we've kind of pushed this out just because of some of the unknowns, but if we meet on our next meeting or any other meetings that we have on this project, we may be able to be a little more aggressive with that. But that's what we felt we were comfortable with at this point in time. We'll have to do some land acquisition in this area, but I know it's critical to this project is trying to keep it moving forward, and that's what Eric and I have done since it's been assigned to us.
All right, so what you're gonna see is some of these start dates, this one is July 1 for construction, so we hope that's attainable, but we also hope it's potentially sooner.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What's the next one?
So we do have some projects that are future projects that we haven't started on. The one that we would like to touch on now is the roadway resurfacing.
Yes, roadway resurfacing is not just a one-year project, but these are each year, as Eric was talking earlier on Old Jessup, we mentioned the acronym LMIG. That is our process of working with GDOT on obtaining funding for resurfacing. Each year, GDOT gives us a letter of what they're going to give us in a grant form to the county. That requires a 30% match from us. Roughly, for my time being here, it's around $1 million from GDOT. And that's the case for what we have for 23 and 24. So we would require to put in at least 30%. For our SPLOST project, if you can scroll down, it's probably got some numbered funding. I guess it doesn't, but we have a list. We've been preparing the 23. We have a list of roads here in case anybody's interested today. I know there could be members of the public here, but we've got a list of our 23 roads. We kind of scroll through those slowly, Jason, to let people kind of see those. But if anyone has any questions about if your road's on the list, you can reach out to me directly or ask questions or make comments at the end of the presentation today. So each year we look at the need of the roads and if it falls under a criteria to need to be resurfaced. So we've got our 23 ready to go. We have bids coming up on it here in the next, November the 15th, is that when that's coming up, I believe?
Yep.
Mid-November, we'll have the bid out to bid, and I hope we'll go through our process and select a paving contractor and get this one underway. We have our 24, we're starting the process to compile the list and look at the roads and work on 2024. That's also got some SPLOST funding on it as well. But this is just a standard thing we work on with GDOT each year, and this has got some SPLOST funding on it as well. So this is something we wanted to touch on today here at this presentation.
All right, so Jason, just to kind of emphasize so the SPLOST piece of it, so we have 8 million total towards roadway resurfacing for SPLOST. And so do you have that broken down over like so much every year that we're going to contribute toward that? Because
yes.
What we're using is SPLOST, but we're also using LMIG and other funding, right, to get this done. So
according to the list that Jason Hagan and I have coordinated with on, the plan is for the 23 to have $2.5 million of SPLOST funding, and then the next year in 24 to have $2 million. I think there's also an opportunity to, there's some tier 2 money on this as well, but that's what's being allotted for the next 2 years. And like I said, we'll be planning for 2025, 2026, and the remainder parts of the SPLOST, and that'll be distributed accordingly based on, I guess, Jason's thoughts and other people's thoughts on the SPLOST and how we distribute that on a yearly basis. So,
all right, so we have an $8 million total for SPLOST 1. Now that's tier 1. There is some tier 2 money on there. So Jason, if you could go up to the second chart there that shows the total spent. So why don't we put that up there? If we have an idea of where we're going to, how much we're going to of that 8 million, let's focus on tier one first.
Yes, sir.
If we have an idea of how much we're gonna take from that 8 million each year, let's go ahead and, kind of, put it in there, at least to flag it for our estimate. And so SPOS, by the end of SPOS, tier one, we will have spent that 8 million, but like I said, there's gonna be a lot more money spent from other, buckets of money that we actually have to make this done. You go down to that list, so that's just the 2023 list, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's an impressive list. And so,
Yes.
so you're putting together 2024 now. So we anticipate all of those streets. And Jason, if you could scroll down for the streets again.
Yes,
all of those are going to be done in fiscal year 2023.
Yes, sir. Coming up here, as soon as we get a contractor and go through our standard process, we'll be starting the 23 resurfacing. Last year, we did about, I think, on an average basis, we did between 30 and 50 roads. Can't remember exactly how many we did last year, but it was a pretty big chunk of island roads and mainland roads that we did last year. We've been doing this program from, many years back. So I've got a good staff of people that have been working on this.
How do we decide on what roads to do?
We go through, we get requests from citizens about, we'll get calls about roads. That'll tempt us to go out and look at different conditions of roads. In years past, I feel like they've also sent these out to the commissioners for their input. We also have a database that we look at and keep a running total of which ones have been treated. If certain ones couldn't make the list because of funding issues, it'll be pushed to the next year. But basically, it's just kind of looking at the condition of the road and comparing them to other ones in the county. It's not really this one kind of needs it based on opinion. It's more of implementing based on the need and the conditions that we're looking at it in the field of how we want to keep our roads going, and we don't want to ignore any that are in really bad shape versus touch on some that may not need it at that point in time. So that's kind of the process that we go through.
And I don't know if it seemed like I remember that there was a study that was done of all the roads.
Yes. That was back, I believe, in 2017, 2018. We still use that list, and I'm personally going to be looking into new ways to maybe keep a database and maybe do some different type of analysis on that for future. But we do reference that old study that was done back in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I just want the public to know it's not just subjective.
No. We get calls a lot about different roads, and that'll get us a chance. And then we appreciate citizens' feedback on that. And we'd like to look into that, and then we see, oh yes, that's one we really need to look. It prompts us to look at it, but that's not the deciding factor that determines. Oh well, if you call in enough, it's not based on subjectivity. It's an analysis we do.
Some people have the
Yes, sir.
opportunity to call in more
Yes.
than others. I know a lot of folks from my district. They're usually working all the time. So, I do have a question.
Yes.
That I don't know, Andrew may need to answer about the resurfacing now that the Joint Water and Sewer has run the system over in the ARCO area. Who's going to be, rerunning, resurfacing it?
It's in our contract to do that. We're waiting on the phase contract to mobilize that project. It's 3 phases. We'll finish phase 1, working with the county through the right-of-way permitting process. They did not want us to move into the subsequent phases until we completed resurfacing on phase 1. So, but our prime contract is trying to be still to finish the paving in phase 1 and then we move to phase 2.
Okay, because we're thankful for, I know I pushed for the system to be put over there, but it's pretty rough riding over there. So I imagine if I lived over there.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea when that will start?
We were hopeful that we were going to start this week, and they have not yet, so I'll have to get an update to staff, but it should be in the very, very near future.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Jason, can you go just back up to the top of this section? No, come back down. All right, so just date-wise, so, all right, so bid coming in on the 15th, and then we will have our list for 2024 begin in January.
It looks like,
Let's put it
we'll
together.
go through our standard process of, once we get the bids approved, we'll take it to the board. And then once we award the contract.
We'll have vendors that apply for it, sir.
Okay.
And then we'll take it to the board.
So Danny Smith from Public Works, anything you want to add to this, since you guys are, you have a little bit of hand in the mix here?
With regards to the LMIG, we, Public Works and our maintenance team are also valuable resources to pass on information to the engineering department with the condition of roadways.
Okay.
And I appreciate Danny. We've got Danny Smith, who's our newest new Public Works Director. I appreciate some of his background and input on his previous work experience, and he and I will be working in the future on polishing this process as well, so for years to come. So I appreciate his being here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fallon, just a little bit of a correction. So this funding is basically it's an FY '23 LMIG program, but it's executed in '24, so it's a little bit of a lag. So you'll have the FY '24 funding we'll get a letter of that funding in June, I think, of next year. Is that correct?
Actually, the way it works, Mr. Gentry, we get a letter from GDOT the prior June. So I guess because of the way construction has been, we're a little bit behind on the 23. So we actually received the 23 letter. We've already received the 24 letter in June of this year.
Right.
And so basically it's an application process online that we work with GDOT. So we get the letter in June, and we have until February of 24 to secure those funds, get the list, and go through the process. So our 23 and 24 will be done shortly after the other to get back on track with our standard construction
So
process.
23 was the one that was
Yes.
delayed.
Yeah, 23 was a little bit delayed. We just finished up our 22, but that's the typical process. So
Okay, as long as we identify the SWOS money, because that's what's important for us. Obviously, we have different resources that we're going to use, but we want to make sure we're going to mix it because we have to get these projects done. But we want to make sure we track the money the $8 million that we have in the SWOS project list.
And that was one comment I was gonna make, is that once we start actually issue a contract for these resurfacing projects, there will be a line in the actual section that says how much is funded by LMIG, how much is funded by capital projects, how much is funded by SWOS. So it'll be broken down. Also, one comment for technical purposes, if anyone in the audience is speaking and you're answering questions, if you could come forward, because the folks on the live stream and the recording cannot hear your responses unless you're in front of a microphone.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Jason, what's next?
Right. Do we want to speak about the projects that are future projects, or just go to projects that are?
well, I think
Any that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think the Demery Road improvements, which is the third on the list there, unless we want to say anything more about the Glencoe, I think Eric touched on that, that there's potential for, once we do the roundabout project, there's potential widening past the roundabout that could be done. That was the last project that was just before we clicked on this one. But this Demery Road improvements project, as we talked about, the St. Simons Island Gateway project that we're kicking off to try to, get under design. This one can potentially work in conjunction with that. The comment there, we're anticipating the St. Simons Island Gateway project. This not hinder, but just it'll be better to do this along with that work. So this project may piggyback onto the Gateway project as another important project as a pickup point along Demery Road. So that we haven't done a lot with this project, but this is one that could be potentially planned with the Gateway for the future here.
All right, so that's smart. So we don't necessarily we want to see what the design's going to look like for the gateway and how that rolls into Demery, and then better define the scope for Demery improvements once we know that. So, Commissioners, do you have any thoughts on that? I think that's a better way to approach it.
And it's kind of one, too, we're going to stir the hornet's nest. We might as well just do it once and not back to back.
Yeah. Okay. Any of the other future ones that you want to mention? If not, we don't.
Uh,
They're
I
they're
think-
later in the schedule. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's good for now. We'll handle the other ones possibly the next meeting we have.
All right, folks. It's 2:30. Let's take 10, and we'll come back at 2:40 and try and wrap this up in the next short amount of time. We'll see. We'll go as long as we need to. All right. Thanks, Quincy. If we could. All right, thank you, Quincy. Welcome back to our SPLOST 22 quarterly execution review, and we're moving right along. We still have our team from our engineering department up, and the next bucket of project we'll talk about is drainage, ditch and drainage improvements. So take it away, Jason.
That's right. All right, so ditch and drainage improvements. So the way that our department, that our county's doing this, we've got this split into some for Jason and then also some in public works. And so Jason's going to speak to the drainage for his area. All right.
This page, does it have anything detailed? Okay. The first one on the list here at the bottom of this page is the North Harrington Pipe Replacement Project. If you don't mind clicking on that. This project is slated to start in the early part of January 2024 for construction. We're going to be installing approximately 1,250 linear feet of 36-inch RCP pipe with 9 storm manholes, structures to replace an existing system that's currently out there that's failing and causing soil problems and other road failures throughout North Harrington. There'll also be full depth replacement of pavement over top of where unfortunately this system runs throughout the roadway. So wherever the pavement's impacted, this will be repaved in this area. And also we've been touching on our LMIG process. The remainder of North Harrington will be on the 2023 LMIG list. So whatever is not done for this particular project will be done on the 23 LMIG list on North Harrington. This project has $500,000 of SPLOST 23 money. The remainder of the money, it's a $1.5 million project. The remainder is from other sources. This was an in-house design that Mr. Granados did a few months back, and now this one's going to construction. So that's right now we have the contractor that was selected at the midpoint of October. He went out and did. This is a problem area, so it's required a lot of patchwork from Public Works. Our contractor that's on board went out and did some pavement placing in areas that were needed initially as we're waiting on the storm structures to arrive on site for January. So that's a progress update on this particular project.
All right, Jason, if you could scroll up just a minute, just down to, all right, so right there. And so again, this is SPLOST. This is part of the big drainage pot of money. So what do we have in drainage on SPLOST total?
We've got 3.1 million.
Okay, all right, so 3.178660. And so scroll back down if you could, Jason. So 500,000 of that amount is going towards this project. You mentioned the total project cost overall is 1.5. So where are we getting the other, the remainder of that? Do you know where that's coming from?
I did months ago. I was trying to research that this morning. We have where that's coming from, but at this point in time, I don't have the particular.
I believe that was an ARPA project.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
And again, like once we get the projects approved and the budget amendments are approved by the board, I can post them in the accounting system and they will pull into this website automatically.
Okay.
I just can't post budget amendments until I get approvals to do so. So
Okay.
they're not there yet.
All right, that's good. And then just a couple of steps. So the RFP, scroll down, Jason. Right there, design. So completed in-house. Who did that?
It was Eric.
Eric. Okay. All right, Eric. Any challenges that you have on this one?
I mean, this one essentially is a replacing kind of the existing pipes, which is failing underneath. So, just trying to get reconstruct the base, all the foundation there when we replace those pipes.
Wasn't it previously like plastic pipe that was up there?
Yeah, it's HDPE pipe. So yeah, it's just that the issue is just the existing materials are failing. So when we replace it, we'll replace it with good concrete pipe, good soil, and good base, good pavement, and it should last a long time.
All right, commissioners, any questions on this one?
So I'm clear, Eric, you make sure these projects start and flow like they're supposed to.
Yeah, so as far as design, I'm shuttling through the process because each project, it's a bunch of steps to get to, a set of plans, and then from a set of plans to, through construction. So I helped shuttle it through at least the initial part, in the design phase, doing all the technical reviews, checking our engineers, keeping them accountable, coordinating with other disciplines, getting it through the environmental process, right away, utility coordination, all those types of things. And once it gets to construction, that's when we have our field engineering department that basically will take it through construction with, me still helping out from the technical side.
I just want the public to understand we have somebody working on making sure this stuff moves as quickly as possible.
And
through all of those steps.
And I'm working with Eric as reviewing his work and others' work, and we're working hand in hand on that to work on our process and make sure we're doing everything we need to do.
Quick correction, thankfully you have people helped me out, but that was actually out of capital, that extra was out of capital projects, not ARPA.
I think we talked initially about doing the ARPA, and then we decided on something.
We have several drainage
Yeah,
projects that were being done through ARPA, so.
All right, good, thank you. All right, what's next?
And to your point, Mr. Fallon, on this page, this is the main landing page for the ditch and drainage improvements. We will have that running total here that comes from our accounting system, the 3.1, and then as we make deductions for projects. And as projects come on that are approved, we'll also keep them here.
All right, so what's going on with Honeygall?
So Honeygall, that's
Honeygall.
up by Penning Road. So this is at the north end of the county, rural area, but very important section where we have a large drainage channel that's going through some existing pipes that are currently failing. And so this project is to replace those failing pipes and add some capacity for that drainage system. So this one's currently being designed in-house. We've got the survey complete and starting to design this, and on track to have this kind of ready to bid out early next year to construction, while handling all the services, survey and design in-house.
Okay. Commissioner, anything? Okay. Very good. Oh, what was the estimated cost on that? Was that the 400,000?
Honeygall?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a
No, we don't
updated
have
cost,
that,
but
yeah.
it's probably around that.
Okay.
So do you want to go to sidewalks or shoreline protection?
Let's do the shoreline protection.
All right, so the next category we'll look at now is storm and critical incident preparedness. And this follows the referendum, if you're ever checking that. And so under that, we had two line items, shoreline protection and just public safety, multi-use facilities. So Casey's going to talk about the shoreline protection plan and implementation.
So, good. We're changing order here. Let me find my shoreline.
All right, so within this, while Jason's doing that, we already talked about the multi-use center. Andy was up here first because he had another meeting, so we talked through that project. One of the first ones that we talked about this afternoon.
Okay.
And Monica, I'm probably gonna have a question for you as well if you want to come up.
This is the shoreline protection. This is also referred to as, referring to these as large, it's a large rock, revetment rocks, also called Johnson rocks. Some history on this is basically this is going to be installed in two sections along Gold Street and Massengill Park, and then the other section would be 10th Street and Ocean Boulevard. This was back in 2019. There was some coordination of sending this out to property owners about the placing of these rocks. This is if Monica's up here, I'll let her touch on some of the maybe facts and figures. But from what I understand, it was a $2.9 million project from GEMA, where the county needs to put up just over $1 million. And basically we're working on getting all the agreements from all the parcel owners that would be affected by this project, getting the buy-in from them on allowing us to place these rocks to help control erosion at a certain level from the ocean waves there as the ocean hits the rocks. But that's a quick overview of that project. If Monica, you want to add anything or about this project, or Mr. Fallon, you have any questions for Monica?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So if you don't mind just describing a little bit of the funding and the match. And that.
So these are federal funds. They're, it's through a pre-disaster mitigation program, and the intent is obviously to help mitigate from future disasters. The amounts that Jason indicated are correct. This is a 2-year grant, and we were just recently awarded in 2023. So we have roughly about 2 years. In the event that we are not close to completion in 2 years, we can do 12 to potentially 18-month grant extension. So we do have some time to get this done. This is for the second phase of the Johnson Rocks, meaning those areas that are adjacent to private property. We're, recently awarded, and we're just getting ready to get it started.
So is that SPLOST figure correct then on what we're anticipating to spend?
I can't see.
The $2 million?
The $2 million is what we dedicated from SPLOST, yes, sir.
So we're going to get in federal funds the 2.9 million. Our match is going to be that 1,087,750.
That's the required match, but once we actually bid this out, and we might have to do some additional work, so we may still spend the whole 2 million, but that's how much we have available for the SPLOST funding.
Okay, that's good. So it's pretty good return on investment for us.
Yeah, we're working with our GIS department about the property owners. There may have been some changes of property from 2019 to now. So we're working on a map with GIS and trying to, make sure we've got all the right contacts to get this project, devoted to and agreed upon so we can move forward.
All right. Richard, any questions? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Monica Harden, by the way, for this is being streamed and recorded, and was our director of grants.
All right.
Thank you.
The next section and the last section for Jason and Eric, we'll talk about sidewalks.
So Jason, just to clarify, so when it came to sidewalks, what we had on SPLOST, there was actually a mainland amount and then a SSI amount?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
And so the mainland amount is 5.2 million. And we've got, from that, we will go out and identify sidewalks that will undertake as projects. And so right now we've got one that we've started on the mainland, and I'll let Jason speak to that.
Yes, this is the 4th Street repair and widening sidewalk project. We've actually designed this in-house. We're actually getting, as we do a few edits and polish up the design, getting ready to put this one out for construction bid. So it's gonna, the project is basically gonna remove, there's a 5-foot existing sidewalk that's out there. Currently that sidewalk is broken up and damaged between Mariner Way and Community Action Drive. The plan is to upgrade to a new 7-foot wide sidewalk with safer alignment that's further off the road. Right now there's overhead power and utilities that companies typically kind of come out there and park on the sidewalk and maintenance things out there. So we're trying to push the sidewalk back a little further, get a little wider, not get off of our right of way, but kind of improve this area to eliminate some of the damages that are occurring out there. And like I said, we're looking to get this one into construction and underway here shortly.
Would there be, or have you all spoken with the city to kind of complete that? If there's a way for us to work together and get 4th Street all the way to Norwich, really to Newcastle.
Yeah. There's also another ARPA drainage project that's 4th Street drainage that we're also working on that goes further down from this point. And I think that might be the area past that we might be looking into. We haven't done a lot of coordination with the city, at least. This was a project that was kind of developed before I got here, and we're finishing up the design. But basically, there'll be another drainage project that will also go to construction, and there could be a future sidewalk plan in that area that may potentially connect. That's part of our greater strategic plan, is about connecting more sidewalks to each other. So that can be a future thing that we can discuss with the city probably.
Yeah, just see if there's any way to save money or create synergy with, we can get it all the
Sure.
way to new council.
Sure. Yes, sir. Any other questions on that one?
If you could scroll down, Jason. See, just want to look at the notes here and the status.
Yeah, basically, like I said, we're doing some internal review from our design, making sure the design's ready to go, and we'll be putting this out for construction here shortly. I hope to go to construction in early part of next year, going through the standard process, selecting a contractor and getting this one built out here.
All right, good.
For the county.
Have
Go ahead.
we made any progress on soliciting local bids, smaller contractors to do sidewalk?
Jason and I met with a company, what was that, a couple weeks ago?
Tice Wendell is not a large company, and he's doing quite a few of our sidewalks for us now.
Yeah, he's one of our better contractors. I think there was another one that we had talked about.
Right, there's a company they work through cooperative purchasing with a lot of smaller vendors, and we've talked about letting them have a shot at doing this project.
They're local?
No, well, they're out of Savannah, sir.
Who is?
Well, but they work with local vendors, local
Yeah.
small vendors.
So they subcontract down to.
Right,
Yes.
It's because of the bonding capacity. Is that-
that's correct.
I thought we did something to allow for more small and minority companies. There are at least 3 that can handle this project locally. I mean, we just letting this money just flow out.
We put these things out to bid, sir, and now with our new procurement software, we can actually see who's looking at the bids, and I'll let Resin speak to that, but I don't know that, Resin, can you speak to how many minority-owned companies have looked at these?
I would have to do some research on that. I mean, we've done several workshops. We've reached out. We've held for you directly, Commissioner, several times, and we can't force people to bid. We just try to make it easier for them to bid.
Yeah, it's
And
just
so that's
it's
our
the
intent is to get-
reputation of the county that I mean, it's not y'all's fault, but that's we've got to get past that because taxpayers are paying more for these projects than they need.
Yes.
So
We'd like to encourage local vendors to bid on these projects. We want to work with local vendors. It saves money. It keeps that money here locally in the county. But we do have to put these out for bid. Our bid process has become much easier now that it is in the online portal. So hopefully we have overcome some of those challenges that were brought forward prior on our previous bid process. So, we're working hard to try to overcome the roadblocks that people see. So please encourage local vendors to bid and give the county a chance to get these projects done locally.
And if we can send out messaging, and it's tough, but through community development, we have a lot of these people's phone numbers, email address, and then look at the way we're going through procurement to see if there's any way to lighten the load on these smaller jobs that will allow smaller vendors to be able to participate. And Commissioner Booker, I had requested a year ago, maybe, that we open up these workshops to help people learn how to go through the process. And I don't think there was anyone that attended them.
There was one that we sent out, and I contacted over 500 people, and we didn't have a single person show up.
yeah,
So,
it's really it's the previous reputation
right.
that again it's not this staff's because I've seen the effort and so or this commission and we just got to break through and I mean I'm telling you Yeah,
keep messaging out to try
And
to.
there has been some changes, so I know that the board, anything under $100,000, it is not required to be bonded. Over 100,000, state law requires bonding. But I know that the commission changed that in the ordinance in the last couple of years to be more user-friendly. And we've had several projects that we have awarded to local vendors that we've not required them to provide, bid bonds or performance bonds. So we try to be as customer-friendly as possible, and we're more than willing to help them get involved.
The company, Jason, you all just mentioned that works with smaller companies
Yes, sir.
out of Savannah. What's the name of them?
Gordian has a state contract through the state, and so it's basically a task order, work task order program, and so they subcontract with others. I know Jason's had follow-up meetings with them, but it's awarded by the state. It's managed by the state, and Gordian is the one that manages that contract.
Okay. So then there's a similar approach locally that we can do, and I'll get with you all to work on that.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Any other questions about this particular project? I've got a couple other sidewalk projects to
Yeah,
go
go
over.
I don't have any. Good.
There's some future included ones.
So that's the only project, active project on the mainland right now is that 4th Street. And so, go back. Now on St. Simon's Island.
Jason, did you have any others you want to talk about on the mainland? Is that what you were asking?
That's the only one that's planned for the mainland right now that we
Okay.
have data on.
And what was the amount that we had for that one?
It was 5.2 million, sir.
How much was the 4th Street project?
Oh.
Do we even know yet? Okay, that's all right.
I'd like to see, yeah, I'd like to see the bids. that come
Yeah,
in.
once we get the bids, okay, that's fine. All right.
These are the ones on the island that we're focusing on. If you can scroll down. You want to go over the total amount on the island?
And so for the island, we've got 1.64 million dedicated to island sidewalks. We've been able to identify 2 sidewalks. One's completed. What we're trying to accomplish is 1 sidewalk on St. Simon's, 1 sidewalk on the mainland to keep things even.
So
we've got
let's,
these two.
yeah, let's highlight this achieved one. Our project management software, it says achieved, or a lot of times I'll say completed construction wise, but we're using the term achieved for achieve it. That's our project management. Here's a picture of a completed project. This is the first SPLOST 22 project that's actually been put in the ground, completed. And for our 22 SPLOST, this is a completed version of it. This is on East Beach. It connects the 2 roundabout areas out there on the island. This was already a sidewalk that was out there. It's a repair and replace project. It's a widely used pathway. The existing sidewalk was out of ADA compliance. We've got it back into the ADA compliance, and this was approximately 1,200 linear feet of sidewalk that was placed. This project was substantially completed at the end of August of this year. If you see, there's $50,000 from the SPLOST that was devoted to this, and the remainder was from other funding sources. This project actually also finished about $9,000 under budget. So this was a very successful construction project for our SPLOST that we want to highlight.
Okay, good. So 50,000 from SPLOST out of the total bucket amount of 1.6.
Well, yes, sir, that's correct.
All right. Combination excise tax paid for the rest. All right, very good. Questions, commissioners? Good.
All right. And then the other, again, this is the splash page, and then you come down to the bottom and you'd be able to see the sidewalks that are either in progress or achieved.
This is one that Eric's been working on. I'll let him present on this one.
Yeah, so this is our Arnold Road sidewalk. So this is to put a sidewalk between Demery Road and Ocean Boulevard on Arnold Road. So this area has a lot of pedestrian traffic. If you've ever driven down there, you see a lot of people walking down this road, and currently there's no sidewalk or any type of pedestrian refuge. So this project will be a big benefit to the area to add a separate sidewalk from the road. So this is currently under design phase. We've got survey and initial design. So earlier this year, we coordinated and had some meetings with the local homeowners and business owners along this road, and really had a good meeting with them to kind of get their input on what they're seeing in the area. So we've developed a design, kind of a preferred alternative that we're going to meet with them again soon here, and then kind of finish that design off in-house and bid it out. But earlier in the year, we had, based on some of that feedback and some of the projects in the area, we repaved that road and widened it a little bit as much as we really could. We added some street lighting. We added a crossing at Massengale Park and opened those gates later to kind of promote people to park over there and walk. So we're trying to kind of connect all this area for pedestrians and bicyclists and have a network through this area because it really needs it.
All right, so this is another one. You can leave it there, Chase. Go back. No, go back. So another one that was pretty popular during SPLOS and our conversations. Safety's an issue on this road, and then parking, another issue. So we took some steps to alleviate some of those parking issues by putting in that crosswalk at Massengale. And then we partnered with Joint Water Sewer. They were running a project on that road, so that gave us the opportunity to go out and pave it and widen it in some spaces, which helped. But the ultimate goal is the sidewalk for this. And then we have a crosswalk over to on Demery as well at some point.
Yeah, so that's in the plan to connect it to the Demery Road trail right now, sidewalk over there to create that network we're talking about.
Commissioners, anything? Okay.
All right, that concludes our time with Jason and Eric. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, you're off the hot seat.
I think I'm still here.
Oh,
Oh, you know what? Eric is actually here for our recreation and parks with Lisa.
All right.
Lisa Gurganis is our recreation and parks director. She'll be coming up.
Afternoon.
Get Eric out of here with Mallory Park improvements.
All right, so this is a project at Mallory Park on the island. The project here is to, if you scroll down a little bit. Project here is to add a new parking lot on the north side of the fields here. So basically in this picture where you see kind of that clearing there, we're going to put a new paid parking lot with about 70 new parking spots. So it should be a good addition as far as parking goes. And underneath that, we're going to provide a underground detention. So there's a big drainage improvement here, along with the new parking. We're going to also pave some of the existing unpaved parking that's along Mallory Street in this area as well. So adding that paving and some additional drainage improvements along there will kind of help the whole area be a little more finished off, I guess. And that's in preparation for some future improvements to the fields that are going to be conducted. So during construction here, this is finished with design. It's currently out to bid for construction, and those bids are due the end of November. So pretty soon here, we'll have those bids in and be able to award this contract for construction starting early next year. And so along with that, they've going to work around the park operations because it's not like we're going to close down the park or anything. So they'll be kind of staging things as they go to kind of minimize disruptions at the park.
All right, Jason, we scroll down.
So we're going to get a charger going.
Yeah, keep going to the status. And so we've spent a little bit so far, so that was just on design.
That's on the design, yep, and the design is complete.
All right, and so as you said, design. Okay, so we're still on track, hopefully to get awarded again in January.
Yep, this one has gone very smoothly.
How's this going to affect any We really don't have any. When does sports start there?
Ball will get started late February, early March, so it's going to have some impact. But we're talking with Eric. We're hopefully going to focus on that area where the ditch is first, and maybe get that done first, and then we can push people there while they do some of the on the street parking.
Okay.
That's improvements. It'll be a little painful, but it'll be great when it's done.
Yeah, along with people park everywhere over there. So
Exactly.
you could have some parking spots. All right, commissioners, anything? All right.
Thank you.
Which one's next?
The next one is Demery Park.
All right.
So, commissioners and the public watching, Mr. Fallon, there are 3 other SPLOST Tier 1 projects for recreation and park improvements. Demery Park project is a project that will provide a restroom and pavilion facility at the park, where there used to be one years ago. It had reached its lifespan, and it was demoed several years ago. This is a very active park, so having restrooms and facility and pavilion for the folks that use this park is very important. This project is moving along very nicely. It went out for bid in early October. The bids are actually due tomorrow. There's a bid opening. We hope that it will be good bids will come in, and that we'll be able to take this forward to the Finance Committee later in December. The project also includes some ADA connectivity to other park amenities within the park. So it's a restroom facility with a pavilion and ADA connectivity. And if there are any funds that may be remaining, then we'll see what else. But we'll see what the bids come in tomorrow, and hopefully we'll move this project forward to the board to award a contract very soon.
All right, I think just from what I know of this park, it's much needed. Typically during soccer season, we could have 300-400 people out there in that field, right, with no restrooms.
Yes, yes, sir.
Ones that
And it's used during baseball season, spring season as well. So well utilized.
The parents I knew that used to come to soccer, occasionally we get a knock on our door to use we used to live across the street for their kids to come in and use our bath.
And there's a skate park, a pavilion, and a small garden there. So this will be a much needed facility at this park.
Okay.
The budget's $500, so we'll see what the bids come in tomorrow.
All right, everything's on track. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. What's next?
I just got a comment on the teamwork that we've got here. Someone sees that my battery's dying and they're jumping, and so Dave and Andy, Nancy, thank you very much.
It's critical incident taken care of.
The Ballard Park project improvement is the next one for discussion. Ballard Park is where the Rec and Parks admin office is. There are 5 ball fields there, as you can see on the picture on the screen. That's a very popular, heavily utilized park, especially in the springtime. The SPLOST project, there's $300,000 for that project. The intentions of the project are to replace the athletic field fencing at the park on the ball fields. It's old and it's rusted, and there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed with that. So staff has submitted a scope of work for this project to to some other staff and personnel, just for a second look-see, and hopefully we will be getting the IFB prepared in the coming weeks, and my hope is that we will be advertised for bid before the end of the year. And then we will have to discuss, see what the bids come back in, award, and then potentially this project would maybe get started after the spring season, so that as not to disrupt any of the spring ball activity that's out there. Ballard, primarily we play t-ball and blast ball. Those sports usually are in the March, April timeframe. So, if we can get this out and get this done with the timing of possibly doing some of these fence replacements in May, that would be ideal. So.
Are the fields used? I remember we used to use them for football, but for practice. So
they do use them for football for practices.
Practice,
yes. We have a lot of teams that travel teams that come in and play. Some of our ball teams rent those fields and do come out and use those fields. They're well utilized.
Good. Good.
Lisa, what are we, because I know I've asked about us, doing something for special needs kids
Yes, sir.
Around recreation.
Yes.
I think you offered something, I can't remember exactly.
We,
Talking about doing something at Valley.
we have talked about that with SOAR, Miss Jane Christian from SOAR, about what their primary need was that she felt from the community. And her immediate answer was a playground, an inclusive playground. Well, fortunately, we have funds in our capital budget or accommodations excise tax budget, and we've already placed an order for an inclusive playground to be constructed at Blythe Island Regional Park. So because of that, then the ballot project was able to focus more on some other things, and the ball field fencing is the primary focus of that.
Okay.
Part of the ballot splash project will also include demo of the tennis courts that are there and just filling that in and replacing that with a park green space, and would also lead to future opportunities for something in that area.
All right. And then Sylvan Park.
Yes, Selden Park improvements. So the Selden Park project includes, I think it's $965,000 for improvements that would hopefully focus and help promote the historical significance of Selden Park. We have already actually spent a small portion of the money now on some security camera upgrades and updates to the headmaster's house, which recently opened as a museum. We held a grand opening in early October, and it was absolutely wonderful. So some of the SPLOST money was used to make sure we've got the right security measures in at that location, some of the valuable historical information that's housed in that facility. We are currently just in conversations with the Park Advisory Board about what they might like to see in the future at Selden Park. And so that's a project that's a little further down the road on the as far as getting underway. But we are already in conversations about what that might be, just various park improvements there.
Commissioners, any thoughts on this one?
The, are we looking at the trail? I know they're talking about a couple of different things.
A historical trail, yes, sir, has been one of the focal points of discussion of developing something like that within the park. Other ideas where there's some updates and upgrades that might be needed to the existing facility, the building, the gymnasium, the fields, the trail, parking. There are a variety of things and directions we could go, and we've got a little bit of time to do that and decide on that. So we'll continue to get the board's input and the advisory board's input into where we go on that.
When we were out there at the headmaster's house opening notes, just looking at Selden, Selden's a gem.
It's a
nice
beautiful park.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
And
park.
I noticed on the weekends too, and at nights, there's a lot of people that actually play soccer on that field up there.
There are. Baseball field gets a lot of use, the gymnasiums, a lot of family memories and community use at that park for sure, so.
Okay. Commissioners? Sure. All right. That's it, Lisa.
Great,
Get off
thank
the
you.
keys.
Our next person coming up is going to be Mr. Danny Smith. Danny is our Public Works Director, and he's going to talk about the equipment that we've got.
Good afternoon, Danny Smith, Public Works Director. I probably have the easiest and definitely the most fun thing to talk about, and that's buying equipment. So our SPLOST funding in Tier 1 is $750,000 to purchase various equipment for Public Works. This equipment will allow us to increase efficiency, increase the level of service that we're providing, and enhance our emergency response capabilities. The first item that we were able to purchase was a loader, which we bought from Yancey Brothers locally. They have a local presence. And then we have another item coming up that we will be purchasing. It's late December, early January. Unfortunately, there is not a local vendor that carries that item, but there is the vendor that does carry it is Georgia-based. So, and then from there, we have various items that we'll continue buying through the life of SPLOST, and those we should be able to procure most of that locally as well. And then we do have some additional funding in the Tier 2, which is not shown here. So I can promise you, as soon as we are able to buy equipment, we are going to be moving on that so we can have that wraps up mine. It was very, like I said, very easy.
So
What's the lead time?
Anywhere from 6 months to longer. You'll hear a little in the next presentation, even longer lead times on fire equipment. I talked to a vendor about a jetback flush truck a week ago. He told me if I was to order that today, I would have it August of next year. So that's, it's quite a bit. It just depends on the equipment. Backhoes, mini excavators, those are a little less, but when you get into specialized equipment, larger equipment, you're at least 6 months out. And I don't see that changing for quite some time.
So can you go back to the pictures? So
Yes, sir.
everybody can make sure we know. Those are the things that you're looking to purchase.
So the loader is what we have ordered, it's not that size. That's much larger than what we would need. The item in the middle is a specialized machine for mowing right away. It allows you to mow the shoulder, the ditch, and any brush at the same time. That is the actual machine that we hope to purchase. We had in the one of the items we talked about was a flatbed truck. I'm thinking we may need something a little different than that, but generally construction type equipment and right-of-way maintenance equipment.
Explain a little bit, Danny, just for the commissioners and the general public, the reason why we want to get away from a sidearm to a tractor versus this equipment.
Definitely. So that machine that you see there was purpose designed and built for mowing right away, for mowing brush along right away. The sidearms that we currently have and have been using, those are ag tractors with that sidearm added on, and it's just not designed for that use. There's a lot of stress on both the machine and a lot of stress on the arm that we hang on the side and try and mow with. Over time, the arms become brittle, they break, they crack, require a lot of maintenance, as well as the attachment points to the ag tractor, which that was not the original design. But this is a purpose-built machine. I actually purchased one of these at my previous employer, and it came in about the time I left, so I never got to really see it operate. But demoed it quite a bit, and then the group that selected that made a very good decision. So that will allow us to enhance the level of service in our right-of-way maintenance and move quicker through those areas. So we'll gain in efficiency as well.
How do we then go through? Do we have a set schedule for mowing, or even digging out the ditches? I mean, do we? So how do we decide about which?
Yeah. So we're currently in a transition on that. In fact, we've implemented some changes. There's two ways. So we're always going to get calls for requests for service, and we will respond to those. But when it comes to, and that's with the ditches. With the mowing, we're basically going to start at one end of the county, and we have the county broken up into zones or quadrants, and work through those zones. And when we're down to the last one, we'll start back at the top and continue the process. In the area we live in, and as you know, we do get a slowdown in grass growth for maybe a month or two, but brush, grass, vegetation, it's a year-round need to manage that and to mow it. So our intent is to stick to that. Well, it's not a defined schedule. It's start at one end of the county and through these quadrants and work through them, with our staff ensuring that the work is completed. With the roadside ditches and cleaning those, digging those, removing the sediment, we're going to do both. We have enough out there that there's a need, and we can use those same quadrants and work through, but also respond to service requests and the need for service when that time comes.
When and this is sort of a side question but related. When we know a storm is coming, do we go and make sure? What do we do when it?
So we have what we'll refer to as known problem areas or hotspots that we go check, make sure they are free of debris and that water can flow. Make sure that known problem areas and as many other areas as we can get to, make sure that they're free of debris. The pipes are clear, the pipes are open, so that that stormwater that we do experience can move out when possible.
Okay, so we scroll down, please. All right, so I think you, Danny, you mentioned that we have ordered, one piece.
Yeah, we have ordered a cat loader,
Okay,
so a payloader, a front end loader.
all right, let's make sure we have that as a step.
Yes, sir.
What does that Boeing machine cost?
A little over,
I won't hold you to
no,
it.
it's a little over 200,000. So,
$750, not gonna go far.
no.
There's some money in tier two for additional equipment as well.
And we also have capital, some funding in capital.
Yeah, that was the concern of mine also. Also, that 750 didn't seem like a lot for public work.
What's the cat load?
Cost, it's that, the model we purchased, it's a Cat 305, so it's not a very large loader. It's a little over 200,000 for that. Is that correct, Tony? 231 to 231.
You know, we have,
The public needs to know what these.
Yeah, well,
costs
and,
too.
and I'll go ahead and
We'll
mention
put it
it.
up here for you.
So the piece of equipment that I mentioned was, into August of next year if we order it now. And if you think my costs are shocking, Vinny's gonna blow your socks off. But, a jet vac flush truck that we use to clean pipes, which you can clean the ditches, but if you don't clean pipes, that water's not moving. They're 550,000 now. So,
There's a man in the back, Bob, that's it, that's right.
yeah,
I just bought four of them.
yeah. And so we're looking at the same equipment they purchased on those. They're very expensive.
Andrew, we might need to borrow.
Yep. Just leave the keys in it. We'll come grab it.
And the back trucks, I'm sorry. The back trucks, do you wanna, how do we use those, based on complaints or what?
Both. So we currently, if we have a complaint of a plug pipe or we're cleaning, need to clean ditches because the water's not flowing, then we use that machine to flush the sediment from the pipe. That's the jet part. The vac part is we remove that sediment. We don't just leave it there where it's going to end up back in the ditch or into one of the natural systems. So we remove that, take it to dispose of it. But we're also proactively, we're running that truck every day that we can when we're not working on it to keep it running. But both, we have to be proactive, and that's a little bit of a change, I think, in how Public Works was operating. That's how the team is moving now.
so, we have a lot of heavy equipment needs in Public Works, and clearly this is just a small amount of money. But we have, some very old equipment, 20 and 30 years old, that we are constantly trying to repair and limp along to keep it up and running. So there will be future needs. This isn't going to take care of it all. This will help with some very immediate needs. But we'll be looking at, other funding sources. We're looking at some possible grants, and then in future budgets as well. But we're, Danny is working on a good review of the current equipment that's there, what we truly need, and getting some pricing and preparing for next year's budget discussions.
Are we, and I don't know if they make these or not, but are we looking at going green in any way with the equipment? And if so, are there grants, Monica, available for that?
So there are options to begin to go green. There are some hybrid items, hybrid equipment. With the heavier equipment, there's not 100% electric vehicle opportunity, but there are some hybrid opportunities. And I think in some cases, as technology has improved, I think it makes sense to do that. I really believe that one of the first green items you could see being utilized by Public Works is a street sweeper. I think because you go out, you sweep during the day, you come back, it's a known route, it's not a high-speed activity, that comes back and charges overnight and does the same thing. So I think items like that don't require a large power band up and down throughout the day to do some work, that have a constant workload, a lot of opportunity. There are several options on bucket trucks that we use to service traffic signals. Those again, they do make hybrid vehicles.
which I think they've got a good track record, and that technology just improves daily.
Well, yeah, if we can see if there's some grants available, seem like we should get something from out of DC now with the push from the Biden administration. I'm sorry, guys, but I think there's tons of money available, and it might allow us to, just have some of these 30-year-old equipment, as backup if we can find
some of the smaller equipment that Public Works and Parks utilizes, lawn equipment. There are a lot of battery and green options for that. And I think that technology has come a long way, and they're pretty reliable. So I think there's opportunities in different ways.
Yeah, we can look at that and find a way to either to purchase it through a grant or even if it's low interest, kind of like we did with our AC units in several of the buildings. It saved us a lot. Alan Hours found that grant, little known use. I was at a training, and the guy from that department at the state, he just couldn't believe somebody used it. He said that was very smart. He said it was a royalty, and it did save us several $100,000. So that's what we're looking for.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Our last presenter is Fire EMS, Mr. Vinny.
That's for last.
Chief Postapalo, thank you for coming. So, you're welcome. Where would you like to start?
Let's start with the new fire station. So for the record, Vinny DePristofalo, Fire Chief, Glynn County Fire Rescue. Fire Rescue has 3 Tier 1 projects on this SPLOST. 2 of them construction projects, and the third one is vehicle acquisition. We'll start with the new fire station project. We've identified an area of the county that has a service gap. This area is located in between Golden Isles Parkway and Highway 17, between Canal and down to the Altama area. Area is currently serviced by Station 1 at Ballard. What we're seeing is up to 7-minute response time over to that area from that station. This response area, Emergency Response Zone 1, is our largest response zone and our busiest response zone, accounting for 35% of the total call volume for Glynn County Fire Rescue. This project is currently in the identifying a parcel that will accommodate the station that we need to build for this area. And let me add that as of today, an RFP has gone out for a project manager for the 2 fire station projects and the multi-use public safety building.
Where's this at again?
We're in the land acquisition phase now, so we're looking for different locations, but it's going to be anywhere from between 17 Golden Isles Parkway, Chapel Crossing,
Down to Altama area.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, go to the equipment. All right. The second Tier 1 project is acquisition of fire apparatus and an ambulance. What the fire rescue industry is experiencing, as Danny mentioned, is this this delay in delivery of fire apparatus and ambulances. What used to take 8 months to build a fire truck is now taking anywhere to 2 years to 3 years for delivery. And the ambulance is 6 months, from what was 6 months is now 1 year for delivery. The current status of these projects are for, we have issued a letter of intent to Fraser Ambulance to purchase the SPLOST ambulance. We have been notified that the chassis is in process of being delivered to Fraser Ambulance. We're expecting delivery in June of 24 of this completed ambulance. The fire truck, we are in the, what we do at Fire Rescue is we put together a apparatus committee that goes through, identifies if we want to change manufacturers, is there somebody that can deliver a product that enables us to continue our service, but deliver it in a quicker or more financially prudent manner to us. So the apparatus committee has been convened. They are creating specifications for the new pumper, and they're starting to tour the various apparatus manufacturers around the country. As I said, and so Danny, to his point, fire pumpers are pushing 800,000 equipped now, and the ambulances are pushing 380,000 equipped. So the fire pumper has a project start of January of 25. We should probably start talking about it with a 2-year wait period. We're not going to see that apparatus till 27. You know, a discussion should probably be had of, do we want to move forward now and forego the prepaid benefit? And then just say, okay, we can pay for it in 25 or 26 when it's delivered. So that'd be up for discussion.
How much we would have to put down to start the process of the partial pay.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we could borrow that money for myself.
What?
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Are we looking at, because it seemed like we had some choices at one time, where we purchased these units, ambulances.
Yes, sir.
Where the switch out was easier, cheaper or something.
Yes, sir. So the apparatus replacement plan and ambulance replacement plan is delivery of the SPLOST unit in June will bring our frontline fleet to 12. At that point, we'll start moving the older ambulances back out to Houston, where Fraser is, for that changeover. Right? We were just notified today of increases for January 24 for new ambulances and the changeover process.
Can you explain that, Chief, for the public, what we mean by the changeover?
So the ambulance changeover, what we'll do is we'll take our older Fraser-built ambulances, and they will be shipped out to Houston, Texas, where Fraser Ambulance will then remove the patient compartment, all right, and they will put it onto they'll refurbish it, update it, and they'll put it onto a new chassis. So that is what it is. There will be a savings of approximately $100,000 between a refit and a brand new unit.
Yeah, I know a couple of years ago, I was gonna ask some questions. We had talked about going to this freight unit because of the reunion.
Yes, sir.
And, so it's good to see that.
We're finally getting to the point where the in-service fleet will be able to accommodate one being gone for the period to do the changeover.
The damaged units that we have accumulated over the last year.
Yes, sir.
Salvageable over that.
Yes, sir. We are expecting the one that was stolen last year to be returned to us very shortly. And you all are aware of the one that was in the damage from the vehicle accident where, yes, sir.
So just to clarify, stolen, but it was sent out to be refitted, so.
Yes, sir. It's been repaired.
Returned.
It's been repaired. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how many of the Fraser ones that we have in the fleet that can be refurbished or changed out the way you just described?
How many do we have right now currently? So we're at 8 of them right now are that model.
So potentially we would be saving about $800,000
over the course of the program.
Right. So that was a good decision that the chairman made years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, the final project.
I don't have a page for the airport.
Yeah, if you could just, so the airport project, the fire station
Yes,
there,
sir.
it's a partnership with the airport, but it's actually in their SPLOST.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as Mr. Fallon said, the airport fire station replacement project is a joint project with the Airport Commission and Glynn County Board of Commissioners. It is to replace the current station that was built in the 30s when that was the Naval Air Station. As you can expect, we have outgrown that station. The apparatus that is stationed there has outgrown the station, and it's been determined through Airport Commission and the Board of Commissioners that it's time to replace that station. So that project is in the design phase. We meet bi-weekly every Thursday at the airport with their design team, and we're going through various design elements of what do we want this to look like and how does it fit on the property in order to meet our needs and their needs going in the future.
Have to identify where on the airport.
We have. So originally they were going to demolish the current station and rebuild there. But what they found was just on the other side of the terminal by the rental car parking, there was a large piece of land between the buildings there. And so it was determined we can save the money for the demo and build on a clean piece of property.
It gives us a little more room too if the airport does grow in the future to
Right.
expand if we need to.
Plus it gives direct access out of the airport instead of going around the roundabout.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Good. Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
So that concludes the presenters portion of the SPLOST 2022. We do have another section where I'll just quickly touch over it, where we're collecting information on how we share information about the SPLOST collections and distributions. So to give you an example, if someone were to click at the bottom of the page here, they'd be able to see so this is Joint Water Sewer Commission. Their budget for this SPLOST is 13 million, and life to date, we've paid out about 1.5 million to them.
So one of the things, so Andrew's here and talking to him, we offer this so our partners at any time can come up and if they want to submit things, if they want to be part of this process, you're more than welcome to. And we'll take pictures, we'll take graphs, we'll take, status updates, whatever you want to do as an option. It's up to you. But you can certainly be included here, and I think Andrew might follow up on that. All right, for the next one.
And then we've got
Andrew, anything to add on yours?
Yeah, just real quick, we've got really two main types of projects. One, we're building a new elevated water storage tank at exit 29 with a well facility there. We've kicked off engineering on that. We're expecting to have the 60% plans back sometime this month and hopefully have final design shortly after the first of the year. So that's moving along well. The other portion is a water and sewer extension program like we're doing in ARCO right now. We're going to hit a few neighborhoods. We're waiting to release an engineering procurement till after the first of the year, simply because releasing procurements right now, you don't get a great deal of participation around the holidays of people trying to submit proposals. So that'll go out first quarter for engineering for that and get that process kicked off. So hopefully we'll be having some construction probably second quarter, maybe late summer on the exit 29 project. That would be the first one under construction.
Andrew, could you explain two things? One, you mentioned the elevated water tower. Can you explain why do we need to do that?
Yeah, so there's two significant reasons to have those. The first is we run all of our wells on a set point in an elevated storage tank. So the height in the storage tank controls pressure. The amount of water above stabilizes system pressure throughout the area. So we can do that. The other thing, and I'm sure the chief, he may have stepped out, the firefighters particularly enjoy having water in the air because when they need it, there's a reserve supply of water ready to go. We try to keep, the goal is to have 1 day supply of water in the air at all times. We're not there yet, which is why we're continuing to construct elevated storage tanks. But those are two significant reasons for doing that.
How many gallons
most of our storage tanks are 500,000 gallons of storage. We do have one, the Prince Street tank in downtown Brunswick is 750,000 gallons, and we have a 300,000 gallon tank at Cape Road.
What's the one at Perry Park?
The one at Perry Park is a 500,000 gallon tank, I believe. Yes, sir. And there's multiple styles of tanks. The one at Perry Park kind of looks a little different than the one in downtown Brunswick on Prince Street, but they serve the same purposes.
The other thing is you mentioned about running the system in ARCO. What have you all been able to work out? I know there was some discussion about the tap fee for residents.
Yes, sir. As of last July 1st, we now have a program for existing properties to finance capital fees for up to 7 years on their monthly bill.
So if it's a new structure, you can't finance it, but an existing structure that's trying to tie onto the system once available, then we can finance that for up to 7 years for them on a monthly rate for their bill. If it's an existing water customer that's trying to get on the sewer, it works out to, if you do 7 years, somewhere around 10 or 15 bucks a month on their bill to get that process done.
And there's a grant program that we may be able to get to work through. I think I may have mentioned that to you. Yeah. So I've been talking to Georgia Southern about this, because they do it over in Camden.
Okay.
And it would require a match from you all, a slight match. And that way, you all can get your money up front, and the family's don't have to worry about financing. But we'll talk about it.
Yes, sir.
One quick note on the website, what we're showing, it says total budget and total spent. I just want to make a note that that's pulling in from our accounting system. Total spent is the amount that we have submitted to joint water sewer. That's not saying they've spent that much. So we can't change the wording on that, but we may be able to put a note on that page. But when those collections come in, we give them a check every month for a certain percentage of what was collected that month.
Yes, we have not spent $1.4 million on engineering.
But you haven't.
We haven't. We haven't spent it on engineering yet.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Jason, Jekyll Island, Director Williams and team sent us a couple of slides to put up, and so we'll talk to them as well. We'll offer the same opportunity for them to join us in the future if they like. Airport Authority, also we saw Rod Burr yesterday, and he mentioned that they had meetings, or else they would be here today as well. But if we want to, this is take a quick look at the Jekyll Island slides, and then we could post them as well.
So sanitary sewer line evaluation and repairs. Got some pictures here. Pardon me, this is the first time I've seen this. Driftwood Beach bike path rehabilitation design and permitting. We've got completed causeway bike path to the guest information center. To be completed, fishing pier renovations, and rails and ADA access. And got the summary here as of October 30th, 2023. And let's see. The total SPOS allocation, they've got it just over $3 million. And total expenditures to date, or excuse me, total collected to date is $361,000. Total expenditures, $818,000.
Okay, that's a good slide. Appreciate that from them.
Just back up a couple months, sorry. Back, so Jekyll Pier.
Here.
Okay, that's not. Jekyll Pier was damaged on the far end down there by a shrimp boat many years ago. So a lot of that money is to replace. They've got that closed off. You can barely see where the bulkhead was. So some of that money is to replace that. And then back up on that. And then the causeway path, some of you see that happening. But, you know, their goal is to eventually put a causeway all the way, a bike path all the way out to the near bridge. Be able to connect it. So that's an ongoing long-term problem.
Let me back up again, sir.
No, that's good.
All right, thank you, Jason. So we do have time on the schedule for public comment and questions. So I'd ask this at this point, if there's anybody that would like to ask any questions or make any comments, come on up and we'll got 5 minutes each. All right, thank you.
Here?
Yeah, you can have a seat right there next to Jason.
Good afternoon. My name is Lance Savy. I think I know almost everybody in the room. I have a couple of SWOTS questions. The first one kind of follows Commissioner Booker's question about the 4th Street sidewalk improvements. And I think that's super critical. If you recall, the city has an MLK bike trail planned in their SPOS budget. So I'm curious if there's been any additional discussions
and potentially connecting 4th Street on that MLK, because I think your project ends right when it gets to the college. There's some coordination potentially that could happen there.
I don't know that we've written the scope out completely for the 4th Street. Jason, can you comment to that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question? I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, no problem. So I was asking about the 4th Street sidewalk expansion, right? And so that's only the first one out of all the mainland sidewalk projects. So the question is there an opportunity to potentially continue that down to MLK that then potentially will connect up with the city's MLK bike path that's in their SPLOST referendum?
I think the commissioner kind of touched on that earlier today. Like I said, we have a drainage project that's further downstream of the existing sidewalk project that we presented on. That one has potential for sidewalk in the future. I don't believe it's got sidewalk in the drainage just because it's a drainage project, but we'll be looking at how to connect our sidewalks in the future to complete connectivity. That's one of our strategic plan items is connecting our sidewalks for the future here in the county and the city.
Awesome. And then just to piggyback on that, I would also ask that the commission and staff consider, I know that the BATS committee is, in the policy committee, is talking about an overall master trail plan for Glynn County. So I would encourage us as we potentially work on that and get funding from GAMPO on that. You know, I'd hate for us to spend money on sidewalks and then we do the trail plan afterwards. I think it would make sense that we kind of co-path those. And,
yeah,
no pun intended. But
yes, sir. I'm the chairman for the technical committee for BATS, and we got the chairman here for our commissioner. So we'll try to work hand in hand on the BATS and coordinating with future projects on that as well. So we don't have any overlap or missing pieces with that.
Awesome. Thank you. A couple other just quick points, if you don't mind, Mr. Fallon. You know, super impressed with the presentation. Number one, again, former SPLOST Oversight Committee Chair. So the way the information has been delivered today is amazing, and I encourage the other members of SPLOST, the city, and of course, Joint Water and Sewer and Jekyll to kind of follow your lead because this is amazing. With that being said, I'm curious if there's an opportunity to add. I know we have a couple dangling chads of other SPLOST projects that we're still working on from other referendums, and I'm curious if we can transition some of that information over to this new presentation. I think it would be significant for the public. And then the last question, it was for the fire chief. I don't know, maybe somebody else can answer that, but you know, we talked about the new fire station and I saw a high level budget there. Of course, we haven't spec'd anything out yet. But I was curious if that included any additional equipment to go in the new fire station, or is that going to be existing equipment and we're going to reallocate and move some stuff around?
So that is for construction of the site of the new building. We would be relocating one of the engine companies from Station 1, current Station 1, over there, and then putting up a new ambulance into service there at the time of opening.
I got you. So it's like adding the station, allowing better response time, but not necessarily dramatically increasing our current capacity.
Correct. So at this point, we cover that area from Station 1. Station 1, how we've done it in the past is 2 pumpers staff at Station 1 so they can respond all over that large area. What we'll simply do is just move that apparatus with those personnel that we already have over to that station.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Yes, appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate
it. Thank you, Lance. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to make any comments or have any questions? It's lost. Okay. And so, Jason, yes, we did talk about the some of the older projects, and today's focus was on SPLOST 22. But is there any highlights that we have that we want to? We only have a couple of minutes, but do we want to mention SPLOST 16?
I know Eric and Jason were prepared.
Yeah,
to
let's
speak to it.
We got about 5 minutes, guys. And we can come back after the if we don't get through it all, we can come back. We could recess and.
Yeah, like I said, when we took over for a lot of community development, there's been some 2016 SPLOST projects that were not built quite yet. I guess I can touch on some of those. One of our first projects we talked about was the Glencoe roundabout that's going to be there. But prior to that, that project, you've got the Canal Road widening. That project is, actually, we're putting the finishing touches on that. I've got my team to re-review it. That had been out to bid earlier in the year, and we received one really high bid. And now we're gonna get ready to put that back out for construction, and it'll go through our process, and hopefully we'll get a good amount of bids on that one and can get that one underway to address the 2016 SPOS for the Canal Road widening. Two other ones that come to mind, there was a South Palm ditch and a Hornet ditch improvements project. We saw an opportunity a few months ago, or maybe a month ago, about applying for a grant, a WRDA grant on those two projects. I've been told that's pretty favorable, so, but that was our approach on those, to try to get the funding for construction on those particular projects. They're still considered 2016 SPOS projects. Weren't able to get them construction. If we have additional funding from a grant, we could possibly get those out for construction, and that could address those two important ditch projects that we have. The last,
Just to add to those two projects is Senator Warnoff and Senator Ossoff office had reached out to us about submitting some projects, and those two really fit well because we were 100% design complete, we're permit ready, and we had matching funds available. So it really set up, and the Army Corps is has already spoken in favor of those two projects, and we've got coordination from DOT as well. So everything, all the stars and the moons and all are aligning on that. We just need the Congress to write a check next FY. So
I think Eric can touch on another project. Go ahead, Eric.
The Dungeness Drive extension project. So that's at exit 29, first intersection north. That's to extend Dungeness Drive to Southport Parkway. So that one, I think, to this point, has just been held up through coordination with local property owners. But that one's moving forward now. We've recently received a survey for that, got a preferred alignment, and we're working through acquiring a design consultant to design that one and lock down the land acquisition needs for that.
All right, so let's do this, Jason. Let's not lose track of those. So let's add those to our SPOS page. Okay, and let's do the same thing with those 4 projects that I counted. I knew that were outstanding. Let's do the same thing. Let's start tracking them. Let's make sure that we report on them each time until we get them completed.
I think that might be all of our 2016, unless there's any other ones that haven't been addressed.
All right, so Jason, any last comments?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak today to you and kind of show off some of the things we've been doing. These guys have been working really hard on them, so we look forward to keeping it going and seeing you again in 6 months.
And so what we saw today is going to be live now or tonight or sometime soon. When are we going to post the site for the public?
Is it streaming right now, Quint?
But the access, so when they go onto our homepage.
Oh, the website is going to be live today.
Okay. Good. All right, Commissioners, anything you'd like to add before we wrap this meeting up?
I'd just like to say thank you to our staff that responded today, that prepared to give the updates. It's impressive to look out, see how well prepared you are, and in the presentation. I'm sure the public appreciates it. I know the commission appreciates it. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So once this page is live, you'll still go to our website. You can go to, you can search for the SPOS page, or you can also go to finance, and there's a SPOS link on there, and you'll get right to all of this through that link. So we just need to go in and turn them all to public. So hopefully by in the morning, everything will be live.
All right, thank you, Tamara. And so for those of you that weren't here at the beginning, so the schedule that we're going to do this quarterly execution reviews, and so every quarter. So this was November 1st. We're going to do SPOS. The next quarter, in February, early February, when we establish a date, will be on the strategic plan. The next quarter, 3 months later, in May, we'll be on SPOS again. So we have now 6 months to get our updates done and keep the pages populated for the public. And then 3 months later, we'll do strategic planning. So every quarter, we'll be doing something, but it's going to be alternating between SPOS and our strategic plan execution. So it keeps us on track. We execute, and then we're transparent and able to show all the work that all the success that we have. So we've had We've had some early success, and we want to keep it up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.